Toll 2024 GOP presidential debates. Catch the debate live. Then stay for expert analysis with Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, and the News Talk STL team. Brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood, adding delectable delight to all your family gatherings.
Then, at 9 p.m. Eastern, the first Republican debate, moderated by Brett and Martha.
Download the Fox News app and click listen.
Hear it all starting at 7 Eastern on Wednesday night.
Go to foxnewsradio.com for all the details.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Thursday, August 17th, 2023. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown. The number of dead found in the wake of Maui's wildfires now at least 111 people. State emergency officials estimate that 1,100 to 1,300 are still missing, and Hawaii's governor is worried about predatory land deals. Fox's Jill Nato with the latest.
Governor Josh Green said he's concerned developers may try to take advantage of the desperate situation and try to buy Maui land at rock-bottom prices.
People are right now traumatized. Please don't approach them with an offer to buy land. Please don't approach their families to tell them that they're going to be better off if they make a deal, because we're not going to allow it.
Green said he's working with the state attorney general to place a temporary moratorium on land sales, and residents who are in need right now can get help through local, state, and federal agencies rather than permanently giving up their land. And Maui's mayor's announced he's authorized the waiving of property taxes. Those who already paid for the year will be refunded. Jill Nato, Fox News.
And a deputy in Harris County, Texas, fighting for his life after reportedly getting shot Wednesday night. Authorities say the 29-year-old patrol deputy shot at a traffic stop and was later taken to the hospital by life flight. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez calling for prayers and support from the community.
He's fighting the good fight. We're standing with him, and we ask for prayers. That's the main thing.
The deputy is currently in critical but stable condition. Sheriffs say the person of interest in the case left the scene after the shooting. And NASA and SpaceX conducting another Falcon 9 rocket launch Wednesday night.
2, 1, ignition, engines full power, and liftoff of Starlink 6X-10. Go Starlink, go Falcon.
The launch taking place at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station just before midnight. The rocket carrying 22 more Starlink satellites into orbit. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. Colombo and Katie.
We're less than a week away from the first presidential debate. Election season is in full swing, and we'll have the latest Thursday with Representative Justin Sparks at 2:20 and Dr. Randy Tobler at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
So here's a scenario. Saturday morning, you're having coffee, reading the paper, doorbell rings, and who's at the door? Why, it's Goober at the door. I said, hey, you want a new roof done? Don't go with Goober, go with Rufus.
For your new roof.
Love that. Tell us a little bit about Rufus. He's a good-looking guy.
Rufus is a good-looking guy. He came to us, the idea from a beloved pet that we had, and we thought we needed a good mascot, and Rufus was born.
Call Connor Roofing, 314-375-7475, or ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hey, Colombo here, reminding you that cybersecurity has never been more important, so you need to ask yourself, is your business prepared for a possible ransomware attack? And if you have any doubt, you need to call the team at ThrottleNet today. ThrottleNet provides world-class managed IT services and IT support to many local organizations, including my family's own small business. They're St. Louis's highest-rated and most reviewed outsourced IT company, and there's many different ways ThrottleNet can help with your business's operation and digital protection. Learn more now at throttlenet.com.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Thursday, since less than 20% of American adults now consume corporate media, the perception of Donald Trump has evolved into a street corner issue. By that I mean that folks are forming opinions about Trump's legal problems by what they are told by friends and family rather than what the Say Anything for-profit news organizations put out. This is not a positive development because false information streaks through casual conversations, and everybody knows that, and there is no longer a fair press to correct the record. So, most Americans live in a daze of misinformation and ideological propaganda. That is the truth. More truth. Donald Trump was far too casual with the rules, and that is causing him and the Republican Party tremendous grief. I mean, come on, just send the Blanken documents back to the National Archives, right? Who gives a fig? Same thing with the election stuff. State your opinion, and then do everything you can legally to right what you think was wrong. I said a few days after the 2020 vote that Attorney General Barr should have appointed a special prosecutor to look into fraud allegations, that Rudy Giuliani wasn't close to being enough. But as always, Donald Trump marches to that different drummer. And here we are. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
They drafted a vague agreement so Hunter could walk away saying he understood that the case was closed.
The Department of Justice was acting like a co-conspirator.
It was a political exercise.
The famous WhatsApp message. The AUSA did not allow them to get the location data.
What happens next?
An average American would be serving jail time. He wasn't charged with one felony.
Happens right here.
And just because your last name's Biden, you shouldn't be treated differently.
This is News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
The dust isn't really settling on the latest Trump indictment. It's just the pattern that we've seen before. There's a big explosion of activity that's followed by the social media experts on both sides. Then everybody makes their statement. Then it dies down until the next round of court stuff. Well, that's kind of where we are right now with the Donald Trump situation. But on Wednesday's program, Joe Cunningham from RedState.com was on with us. He's covering this along with their other team of writers. But he made a really good point saying that just because you think that this may be a bogus indictment, like maybe some of the others, especially the one in federal court in Washington, D.C., that doesn't mean you shouldn't and Donald Trump shouldn't take it seriously. There could be a big political and legal risk for Donald Trump, particularly legal risk. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but Joe had some pretty interesting points. Here's what he had to say. What is serious about the indictment and what is not? Good article at RedState.com, as pretty much all their articles are. How serious is the Fulton County indictment of Trump? It was written by Joe Cunningham, who joins us right now. And Joe, this is the big question at the moment, because you look at some of the other indictments around the country, and at least one of them, you're like, this is complete nonsense, nakedly political, nothing to it. But we need to be open to saying, okay, well, let's get what they're accusing him of, and is there any credibility or validity to it? You got the coffee out late at night. You read this thing. What is the first impression that you've got from it?
My first impression is that it's fairly serious, just in terms of what he's being accused of, not necessarily, accusing him of being guilty or anything like that. Just the nature of what he's being accused of is pretty serious here, because this is an indictment under a RICO Act, which is criminal conspiracy racketeering. He doesn't have to be the person who committed all the crimes if they were done essentially in his name in furtherance of what the DA is saying is his conspiracy to steal the election. If a jury finds him guilty of two or more of those crimes in furtherance of this, they can get him under the RICO statute. So it's pretty serious as far as how they can get him. It's the most serious case against him. I think that's the Mar-a-Lago documents case. But this one probably ranks as number 2 in terms of seriousness. The other two, the Alvin Bragg one in New York, is, like you said, nakedly political. It was such a stretch of the law that most people on the left and right aren't taking it seriously. You'll notice that nobody talks about the New York case at all. The Mar-a-Lago documents case is serious because it's not anything related to 2020. It's related to the fact that he is accused of keeping documents, withholding documents from a grand jury, ignoring a subpoena, lying to a grand jury. That's pretty serious and separate, and that's, in my mind, part of the one he's most likely to be found guilty on by a jury. But the case here in Fulton County, Georgia, is pretty serious because it's a state level, which means that even if he were to win or another Republican were to win, they can't pardon him because it's not a federal case, it's a state case. And so if he is found guilty, it's the most enduring one. Andrew McCarthy at National Review wrote that the other day. But the seriousness here comes from the fact that Donald Trump, his inner circle in the post-election era, were pushing what the DA is calling conspiracies. They were taking actions in ways, some of which were not legal. There's an accusation that members of the Trump team accessed a voting machine. They accessed critical digital data and stored it off-site. That's pretty illegal. There are some other things they're accused of doing. So if they can make this a case that Trump was at the center of this and basically directing this criminal conspiracy, they're going to get him on this racketeering charge.
Morning, Joe. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what I'm hearing is because of that connection with all these other people, that this actually has some legs to it. In that it may not have been Trump himself who did any of this stuff, but if they can get anything on one of the guys, they basically get everybody.
Yeah, if they can prove that all of these people were acting they were clearly acting in the name of Trump. If they were acting at his direction or as part of the direction of the overall criminal conspiracy, and they can fully connect that person to Trump and Trump's direction on this, then yeah, they very well could find him guilty. But this is in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's some speculation that even in Fulton County, which is one of the more progressive districts, progressive counties in Georgia, you may not be able to get a jury to fully sign on to prosecuting and convicting a former president. But this one, because of the nature of it, and Georgia's RICO law is pretty broad. It's what allows Georgia to be able to do this in a way that other states couldn't, because Georgia's RICO law is so broad and so expansive.
That was actually going to be my next question here is how high is the burden of proof in regards to this to try and make those connections?
So the burden of proof, it's still going to be pretty high because, again, you've got a lot of actors here. I mean, there's 19 people who are indicted in this. So you've got to not only prove their guilt, but then you've got to tie their guilt to Donald Trump. That's kind of an extra legal hurdle that the prosecutor looks like they have to go through. But this is such a high profile. I mean, the prosecutor's looking at bringing in 350 witnesses. This is not going to be a quick trial. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process with the DA throwing everything she can to try to tie Donald Trump to the actions of these other people.
Hey, good morning, Joe Stalponticus here. On a related note, is it truly a conspiracy to question the results of an election? Because if it is, we can all go back to numerous past elections where opponents questioned the results of their election. So is it truly a conspiracy just to question? And is our First Amendment rights being violated here?
So it's not illegal to question the result of the election, but it is illegal to take certain actions in pursuing it. For example, again, the access of voting machines and the state data. You're not allowed to do that. That's the illegal act here. There are a ton of actions that are listed in the indictment, but not all of them are crimes. All of them are just stated as actions that show there was this conspiracy going on. The illegal act is trying to overturn the election. That's what they're trying to prove Trump guilty of. And they're saying that some of these other things were actions that were taken toward it, some of which were actual legit crimes. Some were just actions that go to further show the lengths they were willing to take to prove that the election was fraudulent.
So let me just follow up quickly on that particular point. Election results are supposed to be kept for 22 months. So if someone comes back and says, okay, I'm questioning this election, let me do an audit here, and then you're not allowed to do any type of audit because, oh, no, this is proprietary information. There's a conundrum there. There's a problem there.
Are you talking about the voting machines there still?
Not necessarily voting machines, but also questioning regarding signature verification and other items where there were ballots that were questioned. And all that stuff is supposed to be kept for 22 months. And then the government, then these officials say, oh, no, you can't see any of that stuff. I'm just questioning, what do you think regarding that issue?
The issue there is that the state of Georgia, because of all the complaints and everything, they went through and they audited and they verified quite a few times throughout the state. As far as keeping the results for months and still asking for more, the problem is the Trump team, the folks that were in support of Trump and questioning the election results, they had numerous opportunities to bring these up in court, and some of the claims that they made, they never actually brought up in court. In fact, they were making claims publicly, not just in Georgia, but in several states. They were making claims publicly that they then never brought up in the court, and judges across the country kind of smacked them down for, like, saying, you're throwing all this speculation out there, but you're not bringing it up in court. What's the deal here? Again, you can question the results of an election all you want. Like you said, we do it all the time. Stacey Abrams in Georgia is a very notable one. Hillary Clinton's a very notable one. But it's the actual actions that were taken by some in Trump's orbit. That's what led to this particular case. Well, that and it's Trump. I mean, this is not politically motivated. we need to understand that even if it is serious, it also is politically motivated. I think Fani Willis, the DA, is up for re-election.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that's why I think everybody should step back and say, okay, well, let's look at what's here. Let's hear the evidence. A couple things can be true at the same time. I mean, the people who know law far better than I ever will, I've got, hearing a lot of people saying, proving this is a big ask, but sometimes the value in politics is the accusation itself. And that may be what we're seeing here. Time will tell. But Joe, what do you make? We're visiting with Joe Cunningham from redstate.com. Joe, what do you make of the push that the DA here, Fani Willis, she's saying, I want a trial within 6 months. I'm going to try them all together. I mean, that just defies any sort of common sense just from a legal perspective, regardless of whether you like or dislike or think they're guilty or not guilty when it comes to the defendants.
I think it's going to be extremely hard to get the trial started in 6 months. I mean, you're looking at, again, 350 witnesses. It's a RICO case, so I believe in that if you're trying everybody all at once, when you're just selecting a jury, I mean, every defense attorney gets to not just one defense and one prosecutor. Every defense attorney gets to question the potential jurors there. So, I mean, you're going to have a very lengthy jury selection process. I don't think you're going to get this in half a year. I think it's going to take longer than that. And then the trial itself, with the amount of evidence they want to bring forward, this is not going to be some quick and dirty thing. This is going to be a long, drawn-out experience for everybody involved.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the article at redstate.com is called How Serious is the Fulton County Indictment of Trump? In the last minute or so we've got here, Joe. What it sounds like is the warning is, hey, regardless of who you support or where you are in the political spectrum, look at this as a potentially serious situation for Donald Trump, if nothing else, regardless of whether you think he's guilty or not.
It is very serious, and he needs to take it serious as a legal issue, but also as a financial issue, because this is now the fourth indictment. He's having to travel to courts all over the country. He's having to retain a very expensive legal team. This is draining a lot of his political money, too, to be able to campaign. Every dollar spent on the legal stuff is a dollar he can't spend on advertising, rallies, things like that. So this is a multifaceted issue for Trump.
Yeah, once again, redstate.com. Look up Joe's work. Hey, Joe, appreciate the update. Nice job with the article and looking into this. I mean, I think a lot of people in conservative media just want to be told one thing, to saying, you know what, it's political, it's nothing, move on, we're going to use it to win. And you got to step back and say, no, there are serious accusations. And even if they're false accusations, it's still a serious problem for people, whether you support them or not.
Exactly. This is something we have to take seriously, because if we don't take what the Democrats are seriously, we're going to keep falling into traps over and over.
Mm-hmm. All right. Once again, Joe, got a social media presence on your own. Have you already put Red State out there? We've tagged you on our Twitter, but web, anything like that?
Well, like you said, Twitter at Joe P. Cunningham. I have a Facebook page for my radio show, Joe Cunningham Show. Also, you can find me on Substack, joecunninghamshow.substack.com as well.
The news roundup comes your way here in just a couple of minutes. A little bit later on, our friends from the Herzog Foundation going to be with us. Here we are, back to school. If your kid's not already back at school, they will be in the next week or so. And that means you've got to be on guard again for all of the indoctrination and the nonsense. In the 7 o'clock hour, we'll hear from our friends at, like I said, Herzog Foundation to get you just a little bit better equipped to keep your kids' basic values intact throughout this school year. But that news roundup coming your way in just about 2 minutes and 38 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser-guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything, of course. It's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value, delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I don't mean to start off on a bad note here, but the news is the news. Sam Page gets a big win in court. What does this mean for our rights? When the next viral season hits, spoiler, it's probably not good.
Oh, no, we don't want to go through this again.
We really don't, which is why we have to talk about it. I was up a little later and I wanted to once I got the news about the court ruling with the key people involved, so I've got some updates for you that some others may not have. Also, there is now a task force. A task force appointed to deal with one homeless couple who keeps refusing help. A task force.
Oh, my goodness. Is this the South City situation?
A task force.
Okay.
And by the way, the situation's worse than what I realized. I saw a picture, a video of that, what they set up, and that's really bad. It's not just a couple of shopping carts and a blanket over.
No, it's like an encampment.
Oh, yeah. And it's like they figured out how to break it down and move it around, and when they stick around till it's really bad.
Wow.
So I'm not as sympathetic as apparently the local city government is. So we'll talk about that. Also, the worst team in baseball breaks their losing streak at the expense of the St. Louis Cardinals. Yay. All right, 5:53 right now. I'm Mike Destel. Okay, we're going to go into this in more depth shortly, but here's the bottom line. I want to tell you about this court ruling. The legal battle over whether local governments can violate your rights during a declared pandemic is not over after all. Okay, we thought this was settled. The courts had ruled that all of those shutdowns and lockdowns and orders and mandates, they simply were illegal in the state of Missouri. Sam Page in St. Louis County, along with Jackson County, sued the state over the fact that they weren't allowed to keep suing to keep their authority to shut down businesses and shut down churches and shut down schools and issue those mask orders and other now debunked so-called public health measures. The Missouri Supreme Court ruled that the local governments should have been allowed to intervene in the state case because Eric Schmidt was, as Attorney General, the guy who had that legal authority, and he decided not to essentially appeal when the state lost. And the court said, no, you can't let local governments issue all these shutdowns. So the Robinson case, as we now know it, goes back to a lower court. So that's really confusing, but I'm going to make sense of it a little bit later on today. This is really, really concerning, and it's got my spidey senses up, and I'm telling you, be on alert. This is bad. This is really bad.
Okay. Spidey senses.
Yes, they are up. Sometimes I get a gut feeling. I'm like, this is bigger than what people realize. None of the TV stations had a story on this morning. I had to go to the Missouri Independent, which is a left-leaning, media outlet, to find any coverage of this. So it's not good at all. All right, some other news around the country. Let's talk about Hawaii here. You may have seen there's this rumor going around, and it's really kind of weird, saying that Hawaii may be keeping Maui wildfire victims from applying for help with FEMA, that they're trying to stop them from applying. A reporter told FEMA's Elizabeth Ash, some people are being told, or some people believe, that if they get that grant money from FEMA, that they have to give up their private property and their land. And Elizabeth Ash from FEMA says, yeah, not true. That's not how that works here. Let me get the right thing here. There. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Okay. My computer's locking up. There it is. Okay, here's her quote.
FEMA does not take land, and that's not a contingency of receiving assistance. We're here to provide assistance and to provide help to the survivors in Maui and all around the country. So please apply for assistance if you've been affected by the disaster.
Yeah, and that's what happens when there's a lot of confusion, is like bizarre stories take hold.
But the thing is, you mentioned FEMA here, but there are private companies who are trying to get in there to purchase property.
Yeah, they're trying to come get it pennies on the dollar, which happens in almost every disaster. It's incredibly predatory. But yeah, the private companies can come in and say, hey, you got this burned out piece of land here.
Hey, we'll buy it.
I'll take it off your hands. And then if somebody's destitute, they're like, well, better than nothing. If I'll sell it for whatever the insurance company doesn't reimburse me for. So you see that. We saw that with the Joplin tornado. We saw that with not really Oklahoma City so much, but we saw that with wildfires out in the West, and we are seeing that. And the governor out there actually was asked about that, and he said, they're mobilizing their, legal teams to try to prevent that. I mean, to some degree, can you really prevent a private transaction, but can you prevent predatory behavior, which is what that is.
It is, really.
Yeah.
With the pressure that those folks are under.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Yeah, and the demand just with the tropical climate and everything where they're at. I mean, the demand for that land and the value of that land is insane, So, yeah, so that is, the predatory stuff happens all the time. There are just horrible people who do that. And then you can also, for instance, every time a tornado hits, there's always sketchy people knocking on your door. Hey, I saw your roof was ripped up. Here, I'm a roofer. Here's my card. Let me do it. I'll do it for you real cheap because I care. Yeah, that's usually not. The predatory people do predatory things and exploit the worst situations out there. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to skip this next one and go to other people running for president. White House is marking the 1-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act.
How about that?
They're trying to lean into it. Presidential candidate Larry Elder was on special report on Fox last night, and he says, I've got to. This lighting in here is weird today. And he was on special report, like I said, with Fox, and he still says, yeah, that's not working. The economy is still the number one issue.
Well, the most important issue facing the country is the economy, inflation, gas prices, the fact that people are paying hundreds of dollars more per month for the same goods and services they were for a couple years ago.
Yeah, by the way, Larry Elder is still not qualified to get into that debate next week.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if maybe he can sneak in at the last minute, but as of right now, Larry Elder, one of the biggest national voices of conservatism, not in that debate. That's unfortunate. Okay, Cardinals just couldn't hold on for the sweep, but they get the series win over the A's. Oakland shut out the Redbirds last night. Final score 8-0. Mets are now in town, starting tonight for a 4-game series Adam Wainwright is on the mound, hoping to turn his season around and get a good win. I would love nothing more to see Adam Wainwright just absolutely dominate tonight and turn things around.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Down power lines still live, being looked at as one possible cause of the devastating Hawaiian wildfires, although the investigation is just beginning. The death toll, 111, more than 1,000 people still unaccounted for. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell says more canine search teams are being added because of harsh conditions on the ground.
Because of the conditions and the fire debris, the dogs have to navigate the heat. They have to deal with issues with their paws, walking through glass and debris. And in these conditions, the dogs require frequent rest, which is why we are sending in additional dogs to augment the operation.
And in the midst of it all, the heartbreak of lost homes and lost lives, the journey down the long road to recovery is just getting underway.
At least 3 schools were untouched by flames in Lahaina, but are still being assessed after sustaining wind damage. The campuses will open when they are deemed safe. Elsewhere on Maui, crews cleaned up ash and debris at other schools and tested air and water quality. Once reopened, displaced students who enroll at those campuses can access services such as meals and counseling. The Education Department is also offering counseling for family members and staff. Transportation officials said the Lahaina Bypass Road, closed since August 8th, is open again, allowing residents to access the burn zone. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The district attorney of Fulton County, Georgia, proposing a March 4th start date for former President Trump's trial, March 4th, the eve of the politically important Super Tuesday, fueling Mr. Trump's claim that this prosecution and all the others are designed specifically to disrupt his presidential campaign. Watching Wall Street this morning, stock futures higher so far. The Dow futures are up 50 points, NASDAQ futures 16 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month. A savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Is the Constitution at a crossroads? Join the Hammond Institute and News Talk STL September 15th at View 17 with special guest Judge Douglas H. Ginsburg with an engaging discussion about the current state of the U.S. Constitution. Get your free tickets at hammondinstitute.org. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, happy birthday to the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yay! Boo.
I'd buy a cake to celebrate, but the cost of that's gone up so much we can't afford it anymore.
And those candles, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe the price on those.
Just burning these things up?
It's like your dollars.
Yeah.
All right, got Gabe here, got Stell here, I'm Mike. All right, it's not over yet, but the bad guys get a big win in court, and that means possible mask orders and shutdowns could return if the authoritarians get one more victory in court. And that could happen in Missouri.
Oh, no.
620.
Come on.
Yep,
Really?
620. I'm telling you about this. I am telling you, we need to be on alert. Because I had a couple people, around town like, really, Mike, the COVID order stuff, that's been settled. Stop saying that stuff. Stop fear-mongering. I'm like, no. It's not over.
Right.
It's not over. And the Missouri Supreme Court issued a ruling that tells you it's not over. So I'll explain what that is. I was talking to a couple of people last night who are involved in this case at a pretty high level. Mm-hmm. So I've got information I think that other stations probably don't have.
Okay.
Right now. So
all right.
we'll talk about that.
Exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be out within the next day or so I'll just tell you today. So we'll talk about that right around 6:20. Okay, the Inflation Reduction Act is a year old, and Joe Biden is so excited about this he could not contain another creepy lean-in whisper.
Oh, no.
The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal initially called my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
You're lying. You're lying.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
Yeah.
He really did the thing.
He
really did the thing. Okay. It's like, yeah, like Stell said, you're lying.
You're lying.
Yeah, yes.
But you know what's interesting is this is the messaging that we're going to get. I think this is the messaging they're starting to settle on, is that it's working. It's working. Stick with us. That's what we're getting. When we're all looking around going, this sucks.
Yeah. It all sucks. It's kind of amazing.
Right.
But I suppose there were only really going to be two ways to go with it, right? From a political standpoint. Either you could run away from it, which was going to be really, really hard to do, or you lean in and try to gaslight the crap out of the American people and just tell us that, no, this is what we were planning and everything's great. Don't let your lying eyes deceive you.
Here's how you get away with that gaslighting. So
Mhm.
let me tell you what their approach is.
Okay.
It's all about the window that they want people to recognize. So when you're talking to your friends or who are independent or they're liberals or whatever the case is, and they're saying, listen, things are better than they were a year ago. This is good. So it's working. Okay. When we say, wait a minute, but compare it to where it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. Before he actually got into office.
What the window they're going to be asked of what Joe Biden is going to do and what Kamala Harris and what the media is going to do. Everybody from the national media to the Tony Messengers of the world to everybody else, they're going to say, look at where we are over the past 6 months, over the past 8 months, over the past 12 months. Look at these arrows going the right way. It's working. See, your life is better. That's the gaslighting.
Okay, so, let's look at the Maui fires. I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt today. Let's look at the Maui fires from the window of just the last 2 days.
Right.
Right? So they got the fire under control. There are no more people in the path of the fire that they're currently going towards. So everything's great. Maui is fine. Everybody come on back. And then you look around, you see the devastation, and you see people who are still missing. You see the people who have died, and you're saying, whoa, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a window. It's exactly what you're saying, Mike. Yeah. They burned down the economy, and as they are tamping down the fires, they're telling us everything's under control.
Right. Yeah. So but I do think that's the interesting message. Mm-hmm. That we're likely to get. You're starting to see, some media commentators, liberal ones, who are saying, okay, this looks like the message. So they're getting on board.
Sure.
They're going to get on board with whatever it is.
That's what they have to do, right?
You can look at, Ron DeSantis is a Nazi, Orange Man bad, Nikki Haley is a sellout, whatever it is, they're going to come up with everybody else. Mm-hmm. But what they're going to try to spin is, thank God Joe Biden brought Bidenomics to us. And they're going to take the similar approach that worked for Ronald Reagan back in the 80s with Reaganomics.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting thing because I remember the Reaganomics discussions too. This was some of the early. This is pre 9/11 Gabe, who's not really political, not really keyed in on a lot of the economic stuff. I mean, I read some economic stuff that I was taught in public school, so that was the extent of my knowledge. But everybody was talking down on Reaganomics and trickle-down economics and all these things, and I'm like, things are really good right now. Why is everybody so mad? And that was my feeling just as a kid, in the 80s and 90s. Like this is the best time ever.
Yeah, they were mad because things were good.
Yeah,
because what Reagan wasn't perfect. I mean, I still think he was the best president of my lifetime. But he had plenty of faults. There were some things that I wish he'd done differently and done better.
Sure.
But his Reaganomics, especially when you look at the economy at the time, they worked, and they worked for years afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's crazy is that term, that narrative has persisted. It's lasted the entire multiple generations of political minds have come through and come out with the idea that Reaganomics is bad, or that there's such a thing as trickle down economics, and it's all about enriching the rich guys, and you do this and X, Y, and Z, and it persists even though the evidence speaks entirely opposite to what they're talking about. It's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, real quick here. We News Talk STL, we are going to be your home for the first presidential debate next week.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where you want to be. Join News Talk STL for the first Republican presidential debate this coming Wednesday. So we're going to broadcast the debate right here live, obviously, and then we're going to have live reaction.
We'll do it live.
That's right, we'll do it live. That's right, we'll do it live, Bill. We're going to have a live reaction and analysis from Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, all of us here at the News Talk STL team. We really appreciate our good friends at Great Harvest Bread Company of Maplewood for making this happen. Good stuff out there.
Love those guys.
I can walk to their shop.
That's right. You're close to them.
Which I have done, by the way. Which I have done. So it's America Decides 2024. Debate coverage starts Wednesday at 8 p.m. And we are going to be covering that not just on the air, but on our live streams and on newstalkstl.com. And this is the This is the interesting part, guys. We still don't know what the heck this thing's going to look like.
There are so many questions still kind of hovering around this whole idea of the debates here, and I'm still kind of waiting with bated breath to see what Donald Trump does, because Stell put the idea in my head that he possibly could roll in like a G and do what he wants, and everybody's just gonna be like, well, okay. And I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and again, the exchange of ideas, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be really pointed, really fast. You look back in previous, when was the last time that, I guess it's been 2016, was the last time that the Republicans were not the incumbent party.
Right.
So the last time that they had that, the first debate had a few light punches, but generally it was very cordial.
Yeah.
You didn't want to tick off, different voter groups, support groups. I don't know that that's going to be the case this time around. I think you'll see some cordiality, among the other candidates. But I think when it comes to both issues and the headlines right now, I think you're going to see some aggressive debating. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Oh, sure, yeah, and I'm hoping, I'm expecting a little bit of Greco-Roman wrestling. Now it's
you're going to Olympics on
us. It's possible that this turns into an MMA fight, which I think it should be, but if Donald Trump rolls in, it could be WWE.
Oh yeah,
so
that's a great way to put it.
So that's why I'm just kind of waiting with baby breath. What sports events am I going to be watching?
He is the only president who's also a WWE Hall of Famer.
That's true.
He is in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That's right. That's right. I remember seeing some of his clips.
Yeah.
Could be Trump the Bruiser.
Trump the Bruiser coming in.
Yeah.
With the steel chair. Oh!
But that's one of the things that makes it so interesting, and whether or not he shows up.
Yeah.
He's, I do think that it's going to be a fascinating debate to listen to. Do you think debates still matter?
It's a very good question, because I think they should.
Yes.
But I don't know if they actually do.
Mm-hmm. I think they do in the nomination process. I think they do in the primary caucus season.
Okay.
I think they matter a lot. In this case, I think it matters a lot to the conservative movement, to the Republican voters, to the whether it's you consider MAGA movement separate from all of the others. I think for anybody who is right of center to far right, I think that the debates really do matter in this part of the election process. General election, not as much, but I think they matter a lot at this stage.
This one may matter a lot just because there are a batch of candidates who are treading water, who really need to, at least get something going here. Otherwise, they're going to stay in that 3, 4, 5% range or less, and they need to make a move. Now may be the time to start making that move.
And I want to see what the RNC does here, because the RNC's tactics on this are not working when it comes to having a really good debate. Because, for instance, I just mentioned, Gabe, Larry Elder hasn't qualified. It doesn't look like he's getting in.
Yeah, which is a shame,
which
because
is ridiculous.
He brings so much to the table. There are so many interesting ideas he could bring to the forefront, but he's not meeting the sort of arbitrary thresholds that the RNC kind of currently has. But I want to go back real quick. I'm not sure that the primary debates is more important than the general debates, just because of the people in the middle who might tune in, and those are the ones whose turn could mean the most. So I'm rolling that around in my brain. I mean, I understand what you're saying,
right,
and largely I agree, but I always wonder, because I never really know what those people are thinking. The people who kind of they roll in after the fact, they're not really particularly ideological, they don't really have party loyalty, and they're the ones who decide who the president is.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they're thinking, so I don't know what information they grab onto and they take with them into the ballot box.
First thing they always have to decide is, do we show up or not?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a huge one, actually.
But I do think that these debates are actually going to be more important to the nomination process than what a lot of people want to give credit for. I think this is...
Well, yeah.
I think you definitely want to be tuned in. Yeah.
Definitely that.
And the Thursday after the debate, we're all over it. Here on the morning show.
We got it.
This is going to be fun. All right, just ahead, what's not fun, I got some really bad news last night. A Missouri Supreme Court ruling gives new life to Sam Page's wannabe authoritarianism. I'll tell you why he got a win in court, and why, of course, that is a threat to our liberty and our freedom and our economy and a kid's education and everything in between. This could be really bad. We'll talk about that right around 6:21 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
In a world where heroes walk among us shines the David Dorn Foundation. Named after a true hero, our foundation empowers those who risk their lives to protect us every day. We stand tall with unwavering dedication to provide our first responders with equipment often not supplied.
But we can't do it alone. We need your generosity of a few volunteer hours to provide our first responders with the tools they desperately need to save lives and keep our communities safe. Visit dornfoundation.com now to be part of our critical progress.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
HomeWise with Michael Midget.
Hi there, Michael Midget here. Coming up this Sunday on HomeWise Radio, there is stagnation inside your personal economy. I know it's there because it's built into the very fabric of the way our financial system works. However, one simple tweak will fix this. In fact, you'll think, why didn't I think of this? Join me this Sunday to find out how to do this and more.
HomeWise, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get more HomeWise at homewiseradio.com. Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. On August 14th, another prosecutor, this time in Georgia, brought indictments against Donald Trump, bringing to 91 the number of charges in 4 separate cases brought by biased Democrat prosecutors. CNN called this an extreme legal quagmire. More to the point, Mark Levin called it Stalinistic. And so it is. The most recent cases all rest on Donald Trump disputing the outcome of the 2020 election, something politicians throughout history have always done, from school board to governor of Georgia, remember Stacey Abrams, to the president, remember Bush versus Gore in 2000 and Hillary Clinton in 2016. The cases against Trump are an attack on the First Amendment. There is no speech more in the spirit of the First Amendment than political speech contesting an election. And they are a radical abuse of the power of law enforcement and the courts to destroy a political opponent. This must stop. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, when Sam Page wins, people and our liberties lose.
Every
Period.
time.
End of story.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what happened at the Missouri Supreme Court this week. Just yesterday afternoon, actually. All right, by the way, a task force is now set up to try to solve the life problems of a homeless couple that won't accept help and apparently won't take a bath.
Oh, gosh.
I got the update. We talked about this yesterday. It's actually worse than I thought. Because
really?
one of the TV stations went out there and did a report, and they had their encampment behind it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a couple shopping carts and a blanket. It's nasty.
It was a full-on
and
homeless encampment.
The
type
amount
of
of help that these people have been offered and refused may change your perspective. We'll talk about that right around 6:35. Okay, so I'm going to try to take this complicated court situation and break it down to where it's very, very simple. Bottom line is Sam Page and other, I'm going to use air quotes here, public health tyrant wannabes get a win at the Missouri Supreme Court. This is a really bad ruling, okay? A lot of people wonder, like, how can the Missouri Supreme Court keep ruling in a more center-left or left direction? Well, you can trace that back, and this is a topic for a different day. You can trace it back to what's called the Missouri Plan for selecting judges, to where the governor does not have the same autonomy that the president has. The governor in Missouri can't just say, I'm going to pick out judges that I want and appoint them to the bench. That's not what happens. Is basically the lawyers say, here are your three choices. You pick from one of these three liberals.
Right.
The Bar Association does that. So that's why we have a Supreme Court that is out of touch with the rest of the state. So here's what happened, though. When the local governments, city of St. Louis, county of St. Louis, Jackson County, where Kansas City is, and some of the others issued, these mask orders, issued these restrictions on businesses, shut down schools, shut down churches, did all of this stupid, now completely debunked stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hurtful things.
Oh, I mean, the gym that I went to, that I was a member of, I don't even know if they're still around here. And I talked to the owners because I had to cancel my membership. And then they were saying, hey, we think we can get limited opening. The Page administration might let us have like a few people in at a time, but would you be willing to come work out if you had to wear a mask? Because that's what they're telling us. And their entire customer base said no, and I just can't keep spending money on that.
Man.
And so this franchise gym, which I loved, is now, maybe there's one or two left in the area. I don't know, but the ones around me are gone. They just don't exist anymore. And so what happened is the Attorney General, which was Eric Schmidt at the time, he's required when somebody sued, and we're talking about the Robinson case here, when somebody sued and said these laws are illegal under the Missouri Constitution. You could also argue the United States Constitution when they shut down churches.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the Supreme Court, or the Cole County Court, ruled against the state.
Right. And they said, you can't do that.
You can't do this. And so Eric Schmidt's job as Attorney General is to have somebody to defend the law. They did. They lost, which clearly Eric Schmidt was okay with.
Yeah.
Because then the St. Louis County, Sam Page, Faisal Khan, Tashar Jones, and then over in Kansas City, the folks over there, they're like, okay, we want to intervene in the court, because what happened then is Eric Schmidt's office simply said, okay, the courts have ruled. These orders are illegal. These shutdowns are illegal. Now I'm going to enforce that.
Right. We're not going to appeal. We're not going to do any of that other garbage.
We're not going to appeal. And so the Sam Pages of the world said, well, we are going to appeal. And then the judge in the case ruled that you don't have standing because this has to do with state law.
Yeah.
You don't get to sue and appeal it when you weren't a party in the case.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so is that clear as mud so far here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically a standing decision.
Correct.
You can't do that either.
What the Missouri Supreme Court did not rule on is whether or not these shutdowns and mandates are legal or not. That's not what they ruled on. But what they did rule is that Sam Page, this is primarily Sam Page.
Right.
He is spending taxpayer money to continue to fight to have the authority to shut your life down. Remember, this a-hole, this piece of garbage, and I know I'm not supposed to demonize people, but I'm going to demonize Sam Page because he is a terrible human being.
If you're demonic, you should be demonized.
Yes. He is using taxpayer money to continue to sue, to fight for the authority to keep doing this. This guy issued a stay-at-home order even after Mike Parson lifted his unconstitutional and unthinkable stay-at-home order. Because remember, Mike Parson issued a stay-at-home order that I hope everybody ignored anyway, because that's one of the reasons that conservatives soured on Mike Parson. And Sam Page issued one that was the only place in the area that had one that nobody paid attention to. So he's fighting to keep his authority to do this, for the health department's authority under his direction to shut down churches, to shut down businesses, to tell a restaurant you can only have 25% capacity, to issue a mask order. Okay, so that's what he's fighting for. So now it goes back to Cole County Court with the Supreme Court saying, nope, these entities get to sue, they get to appeal. So we're going to retroactively now find out whether or not they legally could challenge and eventually appeal and win and retain the authority to do these things to us.
Right.
So that's complicated, but I think we get the message here.
Yeah, and the major takeaway is the idea of the authority. You know, even if they say, well, this particular version of shutdowns or mandates or lockdowns or whatever aren't legal, that still doesn't limit the government's capability of coming back with another version of this, or maybe a different sort of lockdown, a different sort of coercion placed on the people to do exactly what they want. So what we want to happen is for the government to say, you know, Sam Pages of the world, you little tin pot dictator wannabes, you can't tell your people where they can and cannot go, what they have to wear on their face or anything like that.
Right. And that's really where the next round is going to be, is whether or not they retain that authority. So the next round, because all of these things have been, you know, they've ended by now. But I am telling you, we are one bad flu season away from people like Tashara Jones and Sam Page and others from saying, oh, you know what, we're going to issue a public health mandate. You must wear masks in public accommodation places. You know what, we've got an infection rate of this for RSV or for the next version of COVID or for the flu or what. You have people who now get off on power and controlling other people.
Yes.
I know that's a vulgar reference. I don't care. That's the mindset I think Sam Page has. I think he's that evil of a human being. So here's my serious question. Are you ready and willing to disobey? What I'm saying is, business owners, when you get a notice that says there is a mask order or a shutdown order because of a viral outbreak, which would be flu season, or COVID is now at this level, are you ready to say, no, I'm going to keep my people working. I am going to keep doing business. I'm going to keep selling cheeseburgers. Are you willing to do that? To say, no, you want to enforce a mask order, then you can put your brown shirts or your blue shirts or whatever shirts you have them in. You can put them outside if you want to try to convince people, but we're not doing it. Pastors and rabbis and priests, are you ready to say, no, get out of my lane? You have no right to tell me we can't have church, because most churches were cowardly the first time around, and they rolled over like a dog with their paws up, saying, "Yep, don't let me make you mad. Just rub my belly." That's what most churches did. That's what the faith community did in St. Louis. Are you willing this time to say, no, you have no authority. We will not obey you?
Right, because what we're looking at here is basically various sections of the government who are conspiring on some level, at least, to retain this power to control the things that you do, what you're able to access, the way you're allowed to worship.
Right.
We are honestly talking about attacks against fundamental aspects of freedom in this country. And yes, you may say, oh, it's just a piece of cloth. It's just you don't have to go to the gym. You can make those arguments all day, but what we're talking about is power.
Right.
If somebody has the power to tell you can't do something, that means that freedom for you doesn't exist anymore at any point.
It's a privilege to be taken away and granted. And remember, St. Louis County voters, this is the guy you reelected.
Yeah.
Republicans, you voted and didn't put a credible candidate up against him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had to go scrounge and find one way too late after you voted for a nutcase.
That actually happened.
Because you were mad at the guy who's not conservative enough.
Yeah, protest vote.
Shemed's not particularly conservative. I get it. You know, but could he have beaten Sam Page? Yeah, and Shemed would not have been party to this lawsuit. This would not still be a thing.
This is the type of thing that makes me really, really mad about the idea of the protest vote, by the way. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. You're trying to send a message. I get it. You're trying to, but I want to win. I want to win things so that we can actually build on our ability to protect our freedoms. Because my goodness, look at the alternative. We're living the alternative right now, and it could get worse.
So that's why I keep saying whenever there's something, this is what I've been worried about. Had the Missouri Supreme Court said, no, this stands as it is, it would be done in the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
It's not. Now it goes back to a lower court to relitigate. And by the way, St. Louis County taxpayers, our money is paying for a lawsuit to try to take away our liberty at the behest of an a-hole like Sam Page. I don't know if I can say the other word, so I really want to.
Yeah.
So our taxpayer money
He's
is
not a good man.
paying for that. No, he's a terrible human being.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a matter of, there are liberals I just disagree with, and I think, well, they're wrong. They may even have bad intentions, but, I think that they're just okay people. I'm not going to demonize them and all that. No, that's not the way I look at Sam Page.
No,
I truly think we need to look at him in a dehumanized way. I think he's that evil.
Well, he's the type of guy who's he starts with pulling the wings off of flies, and he moves on to torturing cats, and we're the cats in this scenario.
Right. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So the question is, you need to be talking to you and your family and your friends. Are you willing to disobey? Businesses, are you willing to disobey? And if you want support on that, you let us know here at 314-912-1019. Are you willing, are you prepared to tell the government no the next time there's a flu outbreak? Because that's what's coming as soon as they have an excuse to do it.
Yeah, when they want to play this game, the only thing you can do is flip over the board.
Yep. All right, 314-912-1019, just ahead here. There is now a task force assigned to deal with 2 people in St. Louis.
Wow, a whole task force.
A task force.
Are they particularly dangerous?
They're smelly.
That might be good enough.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you, it's an update to the story we talked about yesterday with this weird homeless crazy couple, and it's uglier than I thought it was. So a task force, really? Why isn't the solution more simple? We'll talk about that right around 6:37 here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
The deadly wildfires in Maui are being pushed by the eco-left. You know why? Because they're all your fault. Should have given up that gas stove. Also, it's been 1 year since Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act. Been to a grocery store lately? Isn't life so much better? We're going to talk about it all this week.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powertofuture.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Watching your hard-earned dollars fly out the window on healthcare costs is so frustrating. But here's some great news. If you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing, a program out there can really help you with your medical bills, and it's worth taking a minute to look into. MediShare 65 Plus. It's not insurance. Members actually say it's better. It's a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith and where people encourage and pray for you. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. You choose any Medicare provider, and you get telehealth access anytime you need it. And this is great too. Unlike health insurance, you can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years. So don't get stuck with increasing costs. Call MediShare 65 Plus and find out how much you can save. Call 888-SHARE-89. That's 888-SHARE-89. 888-SHARE-89.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
What's wrong with this picture? We have 600,000 homeless Americans, and Biden wants millions of dollars for illegals.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Last night the working dawn, Tim, Dan, and Chinatown.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, stubbornness and filth. That's essentially what we're talking about. Update to a story yesterday. That's got City Hall trying to figure out what to do, and they don't know how to handle that now famous or infamous homeless couple. 10 years, 12 years, depending on your timeline.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to deal with these two people.
Right.
And now it's really affecting other people's lives. So this is an update to what we said yesterday. All right, talk about that here in just a second. By the way, at 6:50, the robots are coming and they're here to fix your life with relationship advice.
Relationship advice now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. Because in a Not Today State, we talked about them becoming our relationships.
Right. Now they're working on AI relationship and life advice.
Well, hey, it makes sense if they're now part of, we're dating them.
I think we should. I think we should give this thing a test drive. So let's talk about that.
Oh yeah,
6:50.
Let's go.
Okay, so here's the update to the topic we brought to you yesterday. This is the situation with the Chippewa and what was it? Chippewa and what? Spring, yeah. This homeless couple is more bizarre than I realized because after this kind of hit the news and, a couple of the TV stations had a little something on it, we talked about it. Well, then the TV stations go out and get video of this. I read the stories to think, yeah, they got a couple shopping carts they stole from whatever and they're putting some blankets. No. They're building these encampments at these street corners. And they are attracting vermin. They're attracting rodents. They apparently smell awful.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just a couple of crazy people who are now affecting the lives of other people, but they're on the easements and they're on the sidewalks, as we talked about. So a task force has been assembled to figure out what to do about these two people. Why
do you need a task force?
Well, that's a great question. So here's a little bit more of what we're learning now that people are digging into this a little bit more. So these people are from Sudan. That's where the language barrier comes in. They got to the U.S. about 12 years ago. They came here legally. They have been living in the sidewalk dwelling constructed from shopping carts, cardboard, old coats, blankets, plastic sheeting for a couple years now. They've been moving around to various spots in Dutchtown for 10 years. So, but they've built this little thing here for quite a while. So Alderwoman Daniela Velasquez says she's reinstated a task force to deal with these two people. And she answered, I think this was Fox 2, She said, our goal is to do what's right for the neighborhood and to find a long-term, culturally appropriate solution for this couple.
What is cultural about being a disgusting street dweller?
Right, exactly. I don't care about culturally appropriate, and neither should you.
Is that a culture? You know what I mean? Like in the same way as, Hawaiian is a culture. It's like, are we saying homelessness is the equivalent of being any other type of culture?
Or Sudanese.
Or Sudanese,
I don't
yeah,
know.
exactly.
So they did go through the resettlement process over a decade ago. They were offered housing. They were offered English classes. They were offered job resources, and they still ended up homeless. But get this. The neighbors now are saying it smells. There's human waste. There's a rodent infestation around this now, all from this sort of put together shelter that they've built. So a spokesman for the city of St. Louis says they have refused help. Here's part of the quote. They have refused all offers, including offers for tiny homes and other non-congregate housing, medical evaluation, and more. We know it's a long process. And they said city officials are asking for continued patience and understanding from residents towards these people and towards City Hall. How about no?
Absolutely no. How about, I can put together a task force too. Okay, you need one guy to drive the bulldozer.
Yeah.
You need one guy or two guys on the garbage truck.
Yep.
or the big dump truck that's going to handle all this stuff. And you need a couple of dudes to grab those people and put them someplace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
so where's the right balance with
and a guy with a hose.
Yeah, I mean these people are causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
They have been offered unbelievably generous help.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't take it. So at what point does your sympathy for the crazy people run out?
My sympathy is very, very limited. So it would have ran out a long, long time ago. And here's the thing that I don't get. I'm currently dealing with, permit processes to make changes to my house. The thing I've been paying for the last 18 years. So, and I have to ask the government for permission to build anything on my property. How is it that they can essentially build something in a public venue and not get hit with a permit violation if nothing else?
Right. And here's the thing, but this is also leftist thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They're worried about a culturally sensitive and culturally appropriate solution for them. How about you go in and you say, you don't actually live on a sidewalk. We're getting the shovels, and if you fight back, we're going to throw you on the ground and arrest you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the expression.
And we'll hose you down there.
That's the expression of our culture.
Yeah.
It's like my culture says you can't do this.
Yeah, my culture says you take a bath.
Yeah.
And when you're offered help to be self-sustaining, you take it.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this? It's not my responsibility to provide all your needs, and you were offered all these needs, but you won't take them.
Yeah.
So when you won't take them, you're on your own. But you don't get to affect other people. And if you've got that kind of smell and you've got people, crapping all over the sidewalk and the easements in front of your houses,
bringing rats and whatnot,
you're attracting rodents to it. No. Now you're violating the rights of other people. And so my sympathy is done with them, even though they're by all accounts crazy people.
I had mentioned yesterday that Kathy and I have driven by this encampment literally for months, years, because the church we went to on South Kings Highway was at Kings Highway in Chippewa. So we would go through that area, come down Grand, take Chippewa, and go right by there. And as every week passed, Kathy and I would look at each other and wonder, those folks are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And the encampment looks even bigger and more involved. And it just made you wonder what in the world is going on. Why aren't the aldermen doing something? Why isn't the city doing something? The neighbors have to be at wit's end.
Right.
And I can't imagine what it's like trying to deal with it.
Yeah, can you imagine if they tried to do this in St. Charles or Chesterfield or Wentzville or Afton?
Mm-hmm. Ladue.
You know what would happen is they would find in the middle of the night shovels throwing their stuff into the back of a pickup truck.
Absolutely. Hey,
is what would happen.
Psychiatric hospital or prison? Where do these people end up?
Yeah.
I mean, really, we need someplace to put them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, because you can't go do that to other people. I mean, what's going to happen here? Well, you do your task forces.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, somebody's going to say, "I've had enough, and I'm taking care of the problem directly," and then City Hall will probably go after those people. Not culturally sensitive enough.
Yeah, such garbage.
All right, the robots are coming, and they want to be your new life coach. I'm not making this up. I'll tell you about it. Just head here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk. Plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long time, and we just got our new 2.0 pillows and a set of Giza Dream Sheets, and we love them. Go to MyPillow.com to get queen-size MyPillows for only $19.98 or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE. In addition to this special anniversary offer on the MyPillows, you will also receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE to unlock these savings.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Is life coaching still a thing?
Yeah, I think there's still life coach.
I think so.
Dating coaches, I know
Yeah.
they're still relationship type people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember when like life coaches became a thing, you could go to like Penn Foster mail-in
Tony Robbins
school, and then you could get a certificate to be a life coach when you didn't actually want to go through the full training to be a psychologist or something like that. You could get a mail order certificate, and you were a life coach.
Right.
Well, apparently, I guess that's big business because there's coaches for everything now.
Yes.
And they're going to have AI competition.
As we all will.
Yeah.
Apparently.
This is really, really weird. There's literally a push to have an artificial intelligence life coach. Can we just enjoy the juxtaposition and irony of that in just a moment?
So you've experienced no life. You have no idea actually what you're saying. You're just regurgitating information. You robot.
Right.
And you're telling me how to live.
Yes.
That's
okay.
amazing.
So I got the details here in just a second. And by the way, the debate coming up on Wednesday, we are your home for the debate. The first Republican presidential debate, we are carrying it live. Our coverage starts at 8 o'clock, and we've got analysis right after that and reaction. Of course, Thursday, right after the debate, we will have full reaction and get your thoughts as well right here on News Talk STL. All right, it is coming up on 6:52. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. I'm Mike. Okay, so Google is trying to create an artificial intelligence life coach, according to multiple reports, including CNBC.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That Google would be the ones
Right.
doing this thing here.
Okay, so it's going to be, like I said, a little bit of ironic here.
Yeah.
That everybody's going to be getting, or many people will be getting life advice from something that has never and will never live.
It makes it's on brand. Man, have you seen Mark Zuckerberg? He seems like a robot.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so two people who have been working on this project told the New York Times that Google wants to make it smart enough to give solid answers to, quote, and I'm quoting here, intimate questions about challenges in people's lives. Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. Now here's the thing. Is therapy basically just regurgitating the the scenarios or applying an understanding to a particular scenario that does not change? Is that essentially what we're saying here about those professions?
I think that's what they're breaking it down to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but every single human individual has hundreds, thousands of variables in each and every one of our lives, to where you can't do a spreadsheet command program to come up with life advice. I don't know. Okay, I've actually got access to one.
Oh, do you?
You want to try it?
Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
go.
So you just want to ask it, okay, hey, Google AI, how do I make my life better? You want to ask it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead and ask him. Yeah.
Okay, Google AI, how do I improve my life?
Okay.
Hi, I am your Google Life Coach. Are you ready to turn your miserable existence into something less pathetic?
Well, I didn't say.
Try these
miserable.
3 amazing life tips that will alter the way you look, feel, and live your life.
Oh, okay.
Number 1, eat healthier. Stop shoving meaningless sugar and carb-filled processed foods into your fat face. Number 2,
Hey, I'm not.
exercise more. Turn off your Netflix, get up off your couch, put down the phone, and move your weak and flabby torso.
Whoa.
And 3, go talk to a human instead of me. Try experiencing life with a real live breathing person. Well, that's our session for this week. That will be $49.99. To pay, please double-click the side of your phone. Now go get a life, Google Breath.
Well, dang. Okay, all right. I mean, that wasn't so bad. It was painless.
Except for the $49.95.
Wait a minute, $50? That was like 10 seconds of advice.
Oh, so we're just. I think we're rushing head first way too fast.
Oh yeah,
into everything AI. It's like the coolest new shiny thing.
Well, when AI started becoming a thing, started becoming really, really accessible to the public, I knew we were going to go down this path, and it was going to happen really, really fast, faster than most of us would be comfortable with. And it's only going to get worse from here, boys.
All right, we can offer better life advice. I mean, that's not bad life advice.
Yeah, I mean,
how about some other ones?
Yeah, stop eating crap.
Do you guys got any pieces of life advice for somebody? I've got a few. Do you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Always take the road less traveled, especially when being chased by the cops.
Yeah.
You got any to add?
Oh my gosh. Never miss an opportunity to STFU.
Okay, there you go. That is actually very good advice.
I was going to say never miss an opportunity to take a nap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
like
a
that.
great one. That's a great
My
one.
wife has a T-shirt that says "Jesus took naps, be like Jesus."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually the most efficient way to STFU.
Yeah, exactly.
Is take a nap.
Another good piece of life advice is avoid sudden moves around any of Joe Biden's dogs.
Yes. I think that'll keep you safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, the STFU thing.
Yes.
I think it was Mark Twain who said it far less eloquently
Yeah.
than that. You know, but that's good life advice.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. Let's
Now
see.
you're going all Hannibal on
I
me.
know. Life is like a display at a Los Angeles mall. Smash it and grab whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
How about
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's
YOLO.
since we're doing life advice.
Yeah, since we're doing life advice. You only live once, right?
Let's see
So,
here.
Smash and grab.
Oh, I like a friend who invites you to a destination wedding really isn't a friend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Unless they're paying.
Yeah. Is that how that works?
Yes. If you're
man.
paying for your destination wedding, I want to be invited. If you're not, I'll send you a nice gift.
Maybe. Yeah. It's like, man, I'd love to have you come to my wedding. Oh, that's great. Great. Are you doing it at the church? No, we're going to go to the Bahamas for that. Man, we'd hope you can make it. Here are the dates. Here's the room rate you can get. No.
No.
Jeez. How about this? Never give up on your dreams. Make up for it by giving up on everybody else's.
Yes,
dreams.
absolutely.
That's, I think, how you do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that works best.
We're just here to help.
Yeah. Trying to improve your life.
So do you feel like your life was improved by the AI life coach?
Yes, because now I know I can charge $50 for basic advice. I think I'm going to start that business because I'm a capitalist at heart.
There you go.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fenceworks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fenceworks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fenceworks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fenceworks is maintenance-free decking. STL Fenceworks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fenceworks make your outdoor space magical. Visit stlfenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Alessia Bernatskaya from Belarus.
I think the most important things to preserve are the first two amendments, freedom of speech and right to bear arms, because that's one of the things that, let's say, Belarus is in a situation where they are. They can't do anything about it because they don't have weapons and there is no free speech.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The American Red Cross among relief agencies mobilizing to help wildfire survivors on Maui get their lives back together following devastating losses.
It's important to understand that we all share the same mission, and that is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of this emergency, this catastrophe that has occurred.
Brad Kaiserman with the Red Cross, a death toll 111, as many as 1,300 people still unaccounted for. A pro-life group is welcoming a court's restrictions placed on an abortion pill.
Heartbeat International issued a statement praising the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling on the abortion pill mifepristone. Its president, Jor-El Ghodsi, issued a statement saying the FDA should pursue the best interest of the people and not the politics of big pharma and the ideology of big abortion. The panel overturned part of a lower court order that would have revoked the Food and Drug Administration's approval of mifepristone, but it left intact parts of the ruling that would end the availability of the drug by mail, allow it to be used only through the 7th week of pregnancy rather than the 10th, and require that a doctor be present when it's administered. Keith Peters reporting.
President Biden meets tomorrow with the leaders of Japan and South Korea. The meeting to take place at a presidential retreat in Maryland's Catoctin Mountains. It has witnessed so many historic gatherings.
President Eisenhower had Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev visit Camp David. And that was the first time that a Soviet leader had ever visited the United States for a formal state visit.
That was back in '59, according to White House historian Sarah Fling. At tomorrow's summit, the three leaders will discuss the challenges posed by an increasingly aggressive and belligerent North Korea and communist China. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are higher. The Dow futures up 46 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 38. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare.
And Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah, for real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. So family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people. My experience has been, MediShare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Nice job.
Thanks.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
When it's important to you, stay informed. It's on News Talk STL.
Any decision about criminal charges filed against Hunter Biden will be made independently.
The Department of Justice is independent?
Can I trust the DOJ? The answer is emphatically no.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I am deeply skeptical of an administration that has systematically lied and tried to hide the facts from the public.
There probably would have never been a plea deal or even an effort to resolve this case without the whistleblowers coming forward.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Improving your home is always a good investment, whether it's your forever home or whether it's something you plan on moving and selling someday. And that's why you should call my friends at Window World. Mike Ferguson here for Window World, simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. A lot of times we don't think of our home in terms of performance, right? We just think in terms of we need a roof, put that on so the water doesn't come through the roof. Well, that's performance of your roof, of your shingles, or of whatever it is that you have up there, the metal. You need to think of your windows as the same way. Too many times somebody says, I'm just going to go down to a home improvement store and grab some windows and figure it out. Well, first of all, you may be paying too much money for that because Window World is simply the best for less. Secondly, you're going to get an inferior window, and you may say, who cares? I just want to go down there and grab something, put them in the pickup truck, take them back to the house, and fix the window. Well, call Window World, 314-993-1800, and find out all the ways that their windows, first of all, are going to save you money because they're less expensive. Secondly, you've got a lifetime warranty on them, and also they have that double-strength glass that protects your home, not just from the glass breakage, not just from the elements, more than any secondhand or improvement store window would be. But at the same time, they're going to make your home more energy efficient. Windows that have a lifetime warranty, you're not going to have to pay to replace them again. Because first of all, they're likely just to last through the life of your home. And secondly, even if something does go incredibly awry, they're going to stand up and they're going to back up their product. When I was hanging out at my friend's Window World offices right there on First City, right there off I-70, they are so proud of the reviews that they get. It's kind of funny because I have every once in a while somebody will say, yeah, look, this person said something nice about us on Yelp. They say, please go to Better Business Bureau and look up the reviews. Please look up Yelp reviews. And what you're going to see are hundreds of people who just have had a great experience with Window World. They are very proud of the service they provide. They're very proud of their products. How they do it at such a low price, I don't know. Find out for yourself. 314-993-1800. Get your in-home estimate. It is free to get that and find out why they are simply the best for less. They are the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, by the way. You can learn more at windowworld.com, but really the best thing to do is just give them a call and ask your questions directly. 314-993-1800. Your windows are such an important part of your home. Make sure you do it right, and that's by contacting Window World at 314-993-1800.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
You know, some politicians really don't want kids to access the funds that could lead to a better education for them.
Oh, yeah, they hate that stuff.
They really don't like that stuff. Man. So we'll talk about that and happening in one state. Also, still ahead here, is your kid the next big sports star? How many parents think their kid is the next big thing?
99% of you are wrong.
Yeah,
but okay.
your kid's probably not the next big thing.
Yeah.
But just in case they are, they can cash in on that jump shot, or they can cash in on that curve ball, or the pass rush, or the set and spot. Whatever it is they do, they can cash in on it as high schoolers, but there are some conditions. I'll tell you what those are at 7:20. Endorsement money for high school athletes.
That's what.
That's a real thing.
How are we digging down all the way to high school at this point?
It's high school. High school kids can start making money off endorsement deals now.
That's wild.
Yeah, so 7:20. We'll talk about that. All right, I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. It is 7:09. Wow, some politicians do not want kids to access funds to get them a better education in some places around the country.
Oh, yeah.
There are some states that are doing all they can. Other states that can do better. I would say that's Missouri. Other states are just hostile to kids getting a better education through school choice. That would be Illinois and many others.
Mm-hmm.
But get this. In Nevada, hundreds of students were put at risk of losing scholarship money because of politicians.
Really?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation joins us once again. Daryl, hey, good morning. Really glad to have you back on the program. So you guys are covering this with The Lion, the newsletter. We'll tell everybody how to get that as well. So this really was a matter of politicians getting into a fight and kids being put at risk of literally being told, you can't come back to your school. You got to go back somewhere else.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, that's the analysis. Good morning. Good to be with you guys again this morning. I always enjoy our conversations. Yeah, the state of Nevada, the legislature is, as one proponent put it, it's pretty clear that the Democrats in the legislature will do just about anything to protect the teachers union at all costs, including the kids, while the other side of the aisle is firmly with parents and students who just want good schools. I mean, when you look at the context of this whole battle, it's mind-boggling. I mean, the state of Nevada ranks among the lowest test scores for students across the country. I mean, they're in the lower tier. 28% of fourth graders in Nevada are rated at or above proficiency in math. 28% of fourth graders are proficient in math at the level they should be. 27% of fourth grade students in Nevada are at the same proficiency rate. And so, you've got poorly producing schools. You've got parents that are crying out for options for their kids. You had the previous legislature that put in place where, hey, you can put your kids where you want them. You find a school that you believe best serves your family. Parents did that, and now the new legislature, the Democratic legislature, is absolutely playing politics with families for the sake of preserving teachers unions and votes to keep them in office.
Okay, so 24% proficiency, so three quarters not proficient in math. But are they using the right pronouns?
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole priority. I mean, it brings into question the priorities of what is important, for crying out loud, and how is it good for the state of Nevada to have 24%, a quarter of fourth grade students who can do math and read and write at at their age level. How is that good for the state? And yet, those who are responsible for the dollars are prioritizing teachers and systems over kids.
Good morning, Daryl. Gabe here. So just help me understand the particulars of this situation right now. So apparently, like you said, Nevada's previous legislature had put into place what it sounds like is basically a school choice bill where parents can the money would follow the kids and the parents can put their kids wherever they want. And you're saying that the current legislature is basically just kind of going to claw that back, so all these parents are going to be SOL?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They have unfunded it.
Oh
they have not funded the scholarship. So you're talking about students that are, kids that are in schools. And here's the other thing: they waited until the school year is starting to even have the debate, to bring it down to the 11th hour to not fund it. And thank God there was a foundation. Who are they? The AAA Scholarship Foundation. Never heard of them until today, but God bless the AAA Scholarship Foundation, who coughed up $3.2 million private dollars from their foundation and said, "We're not going to unfund it. These kids are staying in school." God bless them for that endeavor. But it was the representatives of the state that are doing this to students and to families. It's unbelievable.
We're visiting with Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation, and we'll give you that website and The Lion, which I recommend that you subscribe to. I'm subscribed to it. So that's where I found some of these stories here. And really, when we look at all these, and when we talk, Daryl, there's always, it's not even, what I wish we could talk about, Daryl, is, boy, there are a lot of different approaches to the best way to teach math and to deal with the technology. Right. And I don't know, maybe the public schools are onto something here. Maybe the Christian schools are onto something here, but that's not what we're talking about. We're literally talking about coordinated political efforts to say, kids, you are not allowed to access the education that you want. And this affects, obviously, Christian and parochial schools as much as anybody else.
Right, and it's the representatives within the state that are doing this to the families in their own state. It's not some outside force that's taking advantage of families in Nevada. It's their legislature that's doing this to their own families. It's kind of crazy. When we launched The Lion as an initiative, to your point, Mike, it was just the idea that there are things that are going on across the country in K through 12 education that obviously major mainline media is not reporting, and it's just getting swept under the rug. But it's these kinds of stories every single day. I mean, here's the reality: we're writing between 10 and 15 articles every single day on what's going on across the country in K through 12 education. This is the kind of this is the story from yesterday. These are the kinds of things that are happening all over the country, and honestly, it's not been a problem for our team at the Lion to produce 10 to 15 articles every single day about what's going on in classrooms across the country. And I thank you for pushing it. Read Lion, READ, readlion.com. If you go to readlion.com, it's stories like this and more. And I will tell you, there are those good stories. There are stories of where it's being done well, where there are even public school districts that are standing up to mainline thought and pushing back and saying, hey, we're not going to do this in our school. I think we talked about one such story even a couple of weeks ago, but where we're just trying to highlight, hey, look, if you're conservative and you're concerned about what's going on across the country with education, there really are options that are available. And as you referenced, certainly in the state of Missouri with the Most Scholars program, we're doing everything that we can certainly within the limits of the law to help give families options to put their kids in we just want the families to have the opportunity to put their kids in the education system that they believe is right. And frankly, if that's a public school, that's fine. If it's a different public school on the other side of town, we're supportive of that. And frankly, if it's about getting them out of the system and put them into a Christian school, clearly we're all about that as well.
Good morning, Daryl. Stal Ponticus here. Speaking of Nevada and states with educational issues, my home state of Illinois certainly has some problems. And my hometown of Chicago has some horrendous statistics involving reading, writing, and arithmetic, even up through the high school level. And yet, Illinois got a governor who's concerned about multi-occupancy genderless bathrooms now being legal in Illinois. It's like everything is topsy-turvy and upside down. How can we help families in situations like this?
Well, that is the great question, and honestly, when you're looking at a system that it prioritizes everything that is in opposition to your values, unfortunately, for the first time in American history, we have to begin asking questions like, does this system serve our family as it has for generations? And, clearly there are families across the country saying it doesn't. The system has changed. Mm-hmm. The education system has changed. Schools that we all grew up in all over the country. Those buildings still exist. We have, nostalgic memories of what it was like in those schools in the day. The buildings still exist, but it's a different system than what we grew up in.
Mm. Yeah, all the more reason that, first of all, we should have robust school choice. But, I and my family were able to keep my kids into a Christian school all the way through, and I think the benefits of that are just immeasurable. All right, we've put the Lion out there, but the website, the social media, Daryl, let's remind everybody where they can connect, and I hope that they do.
You bet. ReadLion.com, R-E-A-D. ReadLion.com is where you can find the news of the day, K through 12 education. Interestingly, within the last couple of months, the Evangelical Press Association said we are the best digital news site for education on the internet.
All right.
So that was pretty cool. That was a big deal. But all of our initiatives, everything that we're doing to help families and help Christian schools and to help homeschool groups across the country can be found at herzogfoundation.com.
All right. A lot of information out there as well. Daryl, good chat with you again. We'll do it again in a couple weeks or so.
Sounds great. Always good talking to you guys.
Thank you, sir.
All right. 314-912-1019. Speaking of students, high school students can start cashing in on their jump shot.
This is crazy.
Or their, running whatever track and field thing you do. They can start making the money.
About 50 years late for me.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's legal now in Missouri, but there are conditions.
Okay.
There are conditions. There are some limits on that. The limits are the state line.
Oh, wow.
I'll explain. Just head right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's important to you.
Stay informed.
It's on News Talk STL.
Any decision about criminal charges filed against Hunter Biden will be made independently.
The Department of Justice is independent?
Can I trust the DOJ? The answer is emphatically no.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I am deeply skeptical of an administration that has systematically lied and tried to hide the facts from the public.
There probably would have never been a plea deal or even an effort to resolve this case without the whistleblowers coming forward.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit herzogfoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit herzogfoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com.
Hey, Columbo here with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. The team that we have relied on many times over the years to rescue our home has a great special to celebrate the month of August. Book a cleaning now and mention the Columbo special, and you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can get $75 off an air duct cleaning to help relieve allergies and asthma and lower your energy bills. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
I don't have to tell you, it's hot time summer in St. Louis, so why the heck are you still dragging those hoses around your yard? Tim Jones here for Professional Irrigation Systems. They will do a residential irrigation install in one day, custom irrigation designs for every property. We made that decision years ago. We've never regretted it. Irrigation installs improve your curb appeal. They also have got landscape lighting and fertilization packages as well. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. 636-692-4441, 24/7 at proirrigation.com. That's proirrigation.com.
Fox News commentary.
Another indictment for Donald Trump. I'm not shocked, you're not shocked, but I'm ticked off and you should be too. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting August 22nd, the U.S. dollar may have new competition from a new global supercurrency backed by Russia and China. And if the dollar plummets, your retirement could follow. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. I encourage you to act before August 22nd. Text SHELTER to 989898 to get your free information kit on gold now.
Trump has been indicted a 4th time, this time in Fulton County, Georgia. The whole thing is once again a steaming pile of politically weaponized dog crap designed and manipulated to not only take down Donald Trump and interfere in the 2024 election process, but also intimidate anyone from ever having a legit discussion on election integrity and voter fraud ever again. Only Democrats can question the legitimacy of an election. No indictments for beautiful Hillary or Stacey Abrams or Hakeem Jeffries or any Democrat who has ever cried rigged election. Just Trump. These Democrat communists are evil, but they're not stupid. They don't want Trump supporters to abandon him, but rather they want Trump supporters to keep supporting, and then when they lock him up, your vote is wasted. Toast, bye-bye. That's the bigger plan of manipulation here, and when it comes to the next election, the most important election maybe ever, I fear we are falling right into the trap. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Columbo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Columbo and Katie.
See you then. All right, an incentive to keep your young sports star in Missouri. Endorsements for kids. Endorsement deals for high school kids.
This whole discussion is really weird and interesting at the same time.
Stell, you're the only one here who played college sports. Can you imagine getting an endorsement deal for being an amateur?
In high school, much less college, no. But again, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah. What would you have wanted to endorse 50 years ago?
Oh, probably, having played a little baseball, maybe, I don't know, a bat or a glove.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basketball, jocks.
That would have been scandalous 50 years ago. All right, so which sports equipment would you have endorsed in baseball? Which brand?
Probably, I think most of us used Louisville Sluggers for bats and Rawlings probably for gloves.
Yeah,
I would imagine one of those.
Yeah, Rawlings is still by far and away the top. I use Rawlings gloves myself, which, by the way, Rawlings, send me a check for that endorsement right there.
Okay. No, I can't remember. Honestly, my favorite glove was a kangaroo leather glove.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was a Rawlings or if it was Spalding or some other brand. But anyway, that was my favorite, and if it was Rawlings, then yes.
Rawlings, you got Wilson, you got Spalding, you've got a few others out there. Yeah. All right. By the way, still ahead here. Sam Page gets a win in court, and this could end up very bad for businesses, for school kids, for churches, for everyone. Okay, 7:35. I'm going to tell you what's going on. All right, Missouri high school kids will soon be able to do endorsement deals and make money for sports. Now, this follows up with now the laws have changed and the NCAA rules have changed to where college kids can do endorsement deals and make money off their images and make money off their name and do commercials and, do endorsement deals, So somebody out there is going to be a great running back for the University of Florida or something, and they're going to show up in an ad for Gatorade or something like that. I don't have a problem with that at all. These schools make millions or billions of dollars off these athletes, and up until now, they've not been able to take money over the board. They've been taking it under the board for decades. We know that.
Yeah. There's probably one comparison, and I can understand this, and I think there's some validity to it. Folks would think, well, if you play tennis as a young kid like Chris Evert or Jimmy Connors, you're playing tennis at 16, 17, 18 years old, you're so good that Prince or one of the other companies wants you to endorse their rackets. Folks could, players could do that back then. Same thing if you're a drummer in a band and
Pearl.
Yeah, exactly. and you've got a drumming company or a cymbal company that wants to have you as a sponsor.
Yeah.
You could be 12, 13, 14 years old, a great musician, and you could have a sponsorship.
I was in the marching band, so I would have done that.
There you go. Well, especially though in this age of social media influencer.
Oh gosh, yes.
It's not even just on TV or in magazine print or in web print. It's social media influencer as well. So here's what's happened is that by the end of this month, high school players in Missouri, high school athletes, can start cashing in on endorsement deals. But here's the caveat: only if they've signed a letter of intent to play for a college in Missouri.
Okay.
So if a high school kid over at I don't know, Clayton High School or, wherever.
Christian Northeast or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, CBC, whatever. Or
even Blue Springs from the other side.
Other side, anywhere. There's a few football players that come out of Blue Springs. And so they sign an endorsement deal, or they sign a letter of intent to go play for Mizzou or Missouri State or Lindenwood or UMSL, or not football for UMSL, but, any of these schools, then they can start cashing in on the deals. If they're in high school, but they sign a letter of intent to go play for Arkansas or Illinois
North Carolina, or whatever,
anywhere, then they got to wait till they get in college to do it. So they're providing some incentive to keep the best athletes in the state in Missouri.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So Governor Parsons signed that into law yesterday. And that's what they call NIL laws, which stands for name, image, and likeness. And so, for instance, you were mentioning in that during that last information segment, there you go to EA Sports and you can get college football video games.
Yeah,
and they use the actual players.
Yeah, they scan them. They in uniform, and they actually in some of these more advanced games, like they copy your mannerisms from game footage and stuff like that. Your moves, they program those into the game. So it's kind of wild.
So they should be making some money off their image, and they should be making some money off that.
I think so, but at the same time, the whole thing is like you're going to college for free. They paid a flat fee essentially to take the risk on you.
Yes, that part's true. But if somebody else is selling it and making a profit off of you, then I think you should get a cut of that. Or you should be allowed to negotiate for a cut of that. I remember when I started, I didn't graduate from Mizzou, but I started at Mizzou. I graduated from somewhere else. And at that time, I got to know the basketball players there because they came in and bought shoes from me when I worked at a sporting goods store there in the mall, the Columbia Mall. And boy, those guys had a lot of cash for amateur athletes back in 1990. I'm just saying. And they drove up in really fancy cars.
Really nice cars.
For guys who came from really poor areas around St. Louis and Kansas City. I'm just saying. But there was an endorsement deal that the school had, the basketball team had, with Reebok. But these guys came in and kept buying Nikes from me because they all hated Reeboks. But they had to wear them because the school had an endorsement deal.
That's right.
And the school was getting paid for it. And they were getting free shoes, but none of them liked it. So they would come in and buy other shoes from me and from the other stores around the mall.
Wow.
Around the area.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. This whole thing is just so interesting because, endorsements, and we have so much disposable income to spend on essentially frivolities these days. It's just the money's just going around, and people are just kind of trying to figure out ways to get their hands on some, which is understandable.
Right.
Again, I'm a capitalist. I agree with these things, but it's just interesting to me looking at what the landscape looks like today versus years and years ago, like you were saying. Stone.
Okay, so uber capitalist. Let me ask you a question here, uber
Yes.
capitalist.
Yes.
Is there an issue then with the state saying you can only do it if you sign a letter of intent to stay in the state?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay.
I think you ought to be free to make agreements with anybody in any way that you want, and the state's only role is to enforce the requirements within the four corners of the document that everybody signs.
Right.
I agree with Gabe.
Yeah. And I mean, now, for instance, let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Okay. If a kid from, you brought up Blue Springs because they produce a lot of football players in that Blue Springs area, or, whatever, a kid who goes to name a school here in St. Louis and they're a big basketball star, and they sign
it'd be like Chaminade.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Like Chaminade, and they sign a letter of intent to play for the University of Kansas. I think they should be exempted from the law, and they should not be allowed to do it if it's Kansas.
If it's Kansas,
is that fair enough? Can we agree on
that?
I'm saying
I thought you were going to go there.
If we're going to violate somebody's rights, then at least do it to the people who deserve it by picking something like Kansas.
Well, if we're picking winners and losers, then yeah, go ahead.
If we're going to pick losers, make them Jayhawks. That's okay.
That's required.
Principles be damned. All right. Okay, just ahead here. Speaking of principles be damned, Sam Page.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he got a big win in court, and this could be very bad for all of us. I've got the update for you. I don't know if any other media is talking about this right now, but I am, so you're about to have information that other people don't have right around 7:36 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When I ride the hounds of hell, twist my foot, I nearly fell.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
HomeWise with Michael Midget.
Hi there, Michael Midget here. Coming up this Sunday on HomeWise Radio, there is stagnation inside your personal economy. I know it's there because it's built into the very fabric of the way our financial system works. However, one simple tweak will fix this. In fact, you'll think, why didn't I think of this? Join me this Sunday to find out how to do this and more.
HomeWise, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get more HomeWise at homewiseradio.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer. Mystic Fix is sponsored by Kama Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Kama Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Kama Flight on Instagram at KAMAFLIGHT.
The news and talk
It's bad for everyday Americans who ask the question, can I trust the DOJ?
that matters to St. Louis.
The answer is emphatically no.
1019 and 94.1.
It is a total corruption. We need to get ruthless.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
There's a time and place for everything.
When Sam Page wins, people and our liberties lose. And that's
Every time.
Every time. And that's what happened at the Missouri Supreme Court. Don't forget, News Talk STL, we've got an entire array of podcast and on-demand listing, every local show, which, by the way, our local programs here start at 5:30 in the morning and wrap up at 8 o'clock at night, and then we go to Joe Pags and Ben Shapiro, of course, with Dan Bongino there. So
you can't lose.
This program, Mike Ferguson in the morning, Vic Porcelli Show, Katie in Colombo, and then, of course, Tim Jones, Chris Arps, and Larry Connors. All local programs. You can subscribe to our podcast and hear those anytime you want and share them with your friends as well. So please do that. You can find it at newstalkstl.com. All right, Sam Page and some other, I'm going to use the air quotes here, public health tyrant wannabes get a win at the Missouri Supreme Court. Now, this is a really bad ruling, very bad ruling, and it could have terrible consequences for our rights and for our businesses and the education of young people once again.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to do. I want everybody to go back in time a few years, because here's the thing is it seems like it was a lifetime ago, Gabe,
Yep.
that we were scared to walk into a business because they go, you got to wear a mask because they're going to shut us down.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna get yelled at the front door. Hey,
Right.
pick up one of those paper,
Right.
face diapers at the front before you come into the store. Oh, you got to stay social distance.
Right.
Watch the little stickers on the floor where you're gonna stay. F you guys.
All of the
by
stuff,
the way.
yeah, all of the stuff that we know now has been completely medically debunked.
Yes.
But why, since it's been debunked, and we know that a viral outbreak is going to run its course one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's one lesson we should learn, and you do not have to be a public health official to understand this.
Yes.
Why on earth are some local governments still fighting for the right to impose all of those lockdowns and crackdowns on us?
Power.
Yes.
It's all about power. And it's a zero-sum game when it comes to power in America. It's more government means less you.
Here's why we have to be ready. So think of it as an inoculation against authoritarianism. Can we do it that way?
Yeah.
Let's talk their language here. We're going to vaccinate ourselves against authoritarianism if enough people are willing to stand up. So here's what's going on. Is during all of the confusion, during the shutdowns and lockdowns, there was the Robinson case, our friend Shannon Robinson, and she and others led the lawsuit that sued Sam Page and challenged local government's authorities to start locking people down, shutting down businesses, shutting down churches, and she won. Well, there was an appeal, and the Attorney General's office, which then it was Eric Schmidt, they represent state agencies, so they had to defend the laws or defend the ability for governments to shut things down.
Mm-hmm.
Does Eric Schmidt believe that?
No.
Nope, which is why he didn't put a lot of effort into defending.
Yeah.
So I think you had him do the token just enough.
Yes, it was within the requirements of his position, but he didn't go all out.
And then what happened is the courts ruled that no, Sam Page, Faisal Khan, remember that name? St. Louis County, Jackson County on the western side of the state, St. Louis City, a few other places, Boone County and some others. They do not have the authority to enact all of these restrictions and mandates and shutdowns.
You can't do that.
You cannot do that. So what did the Attorney General's office do at the time? Well, the counties wanted him to appeal again to keep fighting for the rights of these governments to have that authority over our lives.
On behalf of the county in particular, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're really talking about Sam Page and the county health department, but others are involved.
Yes.
And instead, what Eric Schmidt and the Attorney General's office did was they say, we respect the ruling, and now we're going to enforce it.
Yeah, let's move on. We're not going to appeal this. We're not going to go out. Again, he didn't have to.
Right.
And he's not going to because he didn't like it to begin with.
Right. And he knew that it should have been illegal, and the court got it right.
Absolutely.
And so what happened is he started threatening to sue school districts that were putting those masks on kids. He started to sue entities that were enacting these. Because remember, the St. Louis County Council and Sam Page, they had their order struck down by this ruling. And then Sam Page and Faisal Khan issued another one anyway, even after the first one was struck down. And it caused all kinds of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the confusion over should you or should you not wear a mask.
Right.
That just depends on whether or not you want to look like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But then the real thing was who had the authority. And so you had businesses saying, I'm being threatened by my local government for trying to sell cheeseburgers.
Right.
Or trying to sell whatever, hammers, widgets, whatever. And I can't stay in business like this. People can't go to the gym. People aren't allowed to go to church. And so they rolled over and they didn't know what to do. Well, now what happened is Sam Page and these other entities kept suing, saying we should have been allowed to appeal that ruling, even though we weren't part of the lawsuit.
Right. So then it became about standing.
Right. It became about standing. We wanted to appeal when we didn't get the lawsuit. The Attorney General said no, but we wanted to appeal. And the court said, but you weren't part of the lawsuit. You don't get to appeal.
Right.
Because you weren't in it.
That's all the complicated legalese here behind what we're talking about.
Right. So essentially, you were in the stands. You didn't like how the play on the field turned out. You don't get to run down and say, give me a do-over.
Right. Yeah.
And there was very, very smart legal strategy on the case of those who were working on behalf of the Robinson case. So yesterday, the Missouri Supreme Court says, you know what? Those local governments should have been allowed to join that appeal and fight back with the Attorney General not doing it.
And here's where I roll my eyes.
Yeah.
Because, instead of striking down their standing, which they should have,
Right.
they do not actually have
Correct.
standing here.
Yeah.
They're going to allow this garbage to continue, and our freedom now is on the chopping block yet again.
Right. And it hasn't been chopped, but it is on the block. That's a good analogy, because here's where it stands right now. The Supreme Court did not rule that those restrictions were valid.
Right. It wasn't a merits argument.
No. What they did say is it now goes to Cole County Court, which is where Jefferson City is. So now it's remanded back to a lower court, basically to get litigated again. And Sam Page and the St. Louis County Health Department are spending taxpayer money fighting to regain their legal authority to issue a stay-at-home order, to tell your kid they must wear a mask, to tell you as a business owner you can only have 25% capacity or that you can't do business at all, to tell your pastor or your priest or your rabbi you're not allowed to have your services, to tell anybody you're not allowed to have friends over to your house. Because remember, that was a thing too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh,
So
yeah.
they are arguing that they should have the authority to enact those measures when they want. I am telling you from what we have seen from Sam Page, from Tashara Jones, from Quentin Lucas in Kansas City, from, as much as I hate to say it as a baseball guy, Frank White in Jackson County, from what we have seen, they are eager to jump in and issue these orders and restrictions again. They have tasted that kind of power over people's lives. They have tasted that godlike complex that says people are protected by me and this piece of paper and my order, and I've got to do something. And so when they had that authority struck down, it became about the power, not about what's actually right for people, because everything that they have enacted we now know is debunked, and it was bad for us, and it should have never been allowed to happen in the first place.
It's kind of amazing. Last night, I went to a little local spot. I was tired and it was late, so I grabbed a bite to eat. I got a steak and a salad at a local grill because I'm on keto. And on my bill is the little line for the county tax that I had to pay.
Yeah.
Through that, I'm paying for their legal representation to try and to be able to shut down that business and prevent me from purchasing again. Just think about it that way. Every time you pay that county tax, you're helping to fund efforts to destroy the business you just supported.
You know, a few months ago when I first said, hey, I'm starting to see media and I'm starting to see some so-called public health agencies start chirping in about, wow, we got a blip in COVID infections. I said they were poking around, seeing what they can get away with.
Oh, yeah.
This case right here is a massive, massive fulcrum as to whether or not these tyrant wannabes, these dictator wannabes, are going to be handed back the authority that they should have never had in the first place. So what this means to us, first of all, pay very, very close attention. Secondly, I am telling you there is going to be a vigorous fight for the right thing on this. Thirdly, Missouri lawmakers, and we know a lot of them listen to this program because I get text messages all the time, what are you going to do about it? In 2024, you've got the ability to end this once and for all by legislation. Will you have the nads to do it?
Make it clear.
Yes, you've got the ability to do it. And a lot of you talk a lot about how Sam Page and some of the others abuse their authority and government shouldn't be allowed to do it. Put your money where your mouth is, Republicans. Pass a law restricting government's ability to shut us down. Pass a law that says you can't shut down churches. Pass a law that says you can't micromanage businesses. Pass a law that says you can't require people to put masks on if they don't want to. You've got the authority to do that. You change it because they're arguing state law is what allowed them to do it. The courts disagreed. Now that's what the fight is over.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, Gabe and Stel, is are each and every one of us willing to say no and be prepared for the fight with the government?
Yeah, here's where the rubber meets the road, right? It's the idea of the whether or not you comply or disobey an immoral law. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about morality when we talk about disobeying these laws and standing up to, because it is immoral for a government to try and regulate you to the degree in which they're trying to do so.
Yeah.
There should be no place in any government, let alone one as like a constitutional republic that guarantees natural rights like ours, where these little tin pot dictator wannabes can come over to you and say, no, your business is one of the non-essential ones, so we're going to close you down. Remember that?
Yeah.
No, you can't go out and play on this playground. We're going to cover up all of the basketball hoops and wrap tape around the playground. No, you can't go into this business without covering your face with a useless face diaper. Yeah. You cannot convince me that any government should have that right. And on a moral basis, I think you are required by morality to disobey immoral laws.
That means the business owner who has that small business has to be willing to say, get out. To the health officials who come in and saying, we're checking for compliance of this executive order. Get out.
Yeah.
You want to bark at people when they walk in, give it a shot. But I'm not shutting down here. If all of these people want to buy something from me, they can come in. I'm running my business on my private property the way I want to. Pastors, priests, and rabbis, I am telling you right now, you're going to have to prepare yourself to decide whether or not you are going to stay open if the next bad flu season comes around, because they will try to enact that. If you get an order that says everybody must wear a mask in your church or your synagogue, are you going to obey that? The answer should be no. And the answer should be, I will repent of my cowardice the last time around when we rolled over and said, well, government said we can't have church. I guess we can't have church. For those of you who own, for instance, the guys who had the gym, and they said, no, people need to be healthy. We're keeping our gym open. And they went back and forth. At some point, you've got to even be willing, when they issue the closure order, we've revoked your permit, you tear it up and say, no, I'm still going to be in business.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. Police officers, because somebody asked me earlier when I did this rant, they said, hey, what about cops? If you get sent by the county to say, go shut them down, are you willing to say, no, that's unjust and unconstitutional, and I swore an oath to uphold and keep the Constitution? Are you willing to say no? If you work for the health department and you're one of their regulators and you're one of their,
enforcement
people, are you willing to walk off the job, or are you willing to say, I will not do this? And that can take a lot of different forms. You can say no, you can quit, you can also walk in, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Wow, look at this, you passed muster on everything. By the way, can I buy a cheeseburger?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we can quiet quit government too, can't we? Yeah, we can work to rule when it comes to the government, can't we? Yeah. Look, I do not comply. Do not comply in any way, shape, or form.
We have to stand up against them.
Absolutely,
we have to be ready to do that. They're going to soft pedal, but I'm telling you, They're going to want to do it again at some point, maybe this year, maybe next year, but they're going to try again. Are you going to be strong enough to say no? 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay. Got that out of my system.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to vent a little bit.
I really hope that I'm one of the people that Sam Page hates the most. I mean, I hope he detests my very existence. I really do.
I think he just took you off his Christmas card list.
Yes.
If he curses your name, you've made it.
Then I'm doing something right. All right. Is Target about to go all Bud Light?
Oh. Well,
maybe.
Have they already a little bit?
Well, that's the question, though. Okay, so they admit that the backlash against them had a big effect, but they're still not willing to tell the whole story. All right, by the way, just ahead here, are businesses about to be forced, speaking of government overreach, to provide support for employees who go and get an abortion? Are they going to have to support them somehow by federal regulation? We're going to talk about that at 8:05. This is going to be a real eye-opening thing. Okay, Stell, you found this story, and you sent this over last night. Target CEO, guy by the name of Brian Cornwell, was talking to investors. He was on one of those investors' calls, and he said, yep, Target's second quarter results are in. They had a sales decline by over 5%, about 5.4%. Overall decline, almost 5%. 4.9%. In other words, they lost $24.8 billion
Yes.
in the second quarter.
And this is not an insignificant amount of money.
Right.
You say 5%, it's like, yeah, 5% is relatively small, but this is the first time they've missed their target, right, in a long time.
So to speak. Yeah. $24.8 billion. And he said, inflation probably played a role, and I'm sure that probably does to some degree.
Yeah.
He said, but he also noted, using his words, that negative guest reaction to our Pride collection was also a factor. And he's quoted on
ding,
that.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. You got it.
Yeah, but he doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Here's what he said. I'm quoting him. As you know, we have featured a Pride assortment for more than a decade. However, after the launch of the assortment this year, members of our team began experiencing threats and aggressive actions that affected their sense of safety and well-being while at work. So to protect the team in the face of these threatening circumstances, we quickly made changes, including the removal of items that are at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. In other words, how dare you people oppose this? We would have sold more if you people wouldn't have been so mean.
Oh, you freaking cowards!
Exactly.
That is the most cowardly way of positioning the guest backlash to their collection. It wasn't just it wasn't because people were being threatened.
No.
It was because your profits were being threatened, and you needed an excuse as to why.
Well, and he pointed out they've had a pride display, a gay pride display for over 10 years.
Sure.
And nobody cared.
Right.
But what happened this year, and it's funny because the article you sent me, Stel, was from Newsweek.
Mm-hmm.
I went and looked up Newsweek. There was another article on Newsweek right next to this that was accurate that said, well, they were targeting children and they were promoting trans stuff to children.
Yeah. Hey, look.
That's what it was all about.
Huh. It's almost like you crossed the line.
Yeah.
It's almost like we didn't care until you started coming after our kids.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. And so while they're acknowledging, hey, there was a backlash, it's funny because media like to say there was a boycott by conservatives. No, you crossed the line and the market spoke and they said, screw you.
Yeah.
And what he did not want to recognize was, and what he didn't want to tell investors was, well, this year we decided to offer tuck-friendly girls' swimsuits for boys. And wow, unbeknownst to us, people got upset with that.
It's wild. Who would have thunk?
We were targeting 2- and 3-year-old children to try to groom them into getting into the gender confusion, and people didn't like it. But what they said instead was, well, people got threatening and aggressive, so we had to pull stuff off. That's disingenuous. That's lying. Are they about to get the Bud Light treatment?
Moms and dads keep fighting back.
Take notes, names, and remember. Yes.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Please welcome to this commercial for the Right Mind Show, the all-seeing, all-knowing, all-omniscient Showalter the Magnificent.
Hi, it's your buddy Todd Showalter. My guest this week has made you laugh on Dry Bar Comedy, but his life hasn't always been that funny. The comedian, not station owner, Jeff Allen, joins us to talk about how God saved his career and his life with his new book, Are We There Yet? Join us for the Right Mind Show, Saturday at 5 on News Talk, STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Bidenomics, according to the latest AP NORC poll, most Americans are not buying it. Just 36% of adults approve of the president's handling of the economy. West Virginia Democrat Senator Joe Manchin doesn't like the way the Biden team is implementing the so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
Senator Manchin calls the IRA one of the most historic pieces of legislation in decades. He even wrote part of the bill that deals with energy policy and says, quote, if implemented as designed, the IRA will ensure that all Americans have more reliable and more affordable power for years to come. Now, 1 year after it was passed, Manchin says the bill is being undermined by the administration's effort to promote what he calls their radical climate agenda. He's vowing to push back at every step. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney pushing for former President Trump's arraignment to take place early next month, and she's asking for Mr. Trump's trial to begin March 4th, which just happens to be Super Tuesday Eve. Their headquarters, a parking lot in Maui. The Red Cross on the scene in fire-ravaged Hawaii.
They're sorting through numerous donations they've received from the public following the island's wildfires that have killed more than 100 people. Brad Kaiserman of the American Red Cross says he's never seen anything like these fires.
My organization has been in every major disaster in the United States for as long as it's existed. I have been in every major disaster in the United States for the past decade. This is unprecedented.
Kaiserman says the American Red Cross is committed to helping people in Maui recover. I'm Donna Warder.
South Korea's spy agency tells lawmakers North Korea gearing up for a new round of provocative weapons tests, a response to major U.S.-South Korean military drills that begin next week. Wall Street, Dow futures up 43 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare, and Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah, for real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. So family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people my experience has been. MediShare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
844-41-BIBLE. That's 844.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The latest news.
Maui residents devastated by wildfires.
Our 2 vehicles gone, our apartment gone, the whole complex.
Probably would have never been a plea deal or even an effort to resolve this case without the whistleblowers coming forward.
The news you need to know.
This appointment is camouflage and it's cover-up.
Crooked Joe Biden put me on trial during an election campaign that I'm winning by a lot.
And the place to talk about it.
That's why I listen.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The market is changing. This is the time to get your house back on the market because there are people looking for your home, but make sure you do it right. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. And you got to call my friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, 314-810-SOLD. Here's what's going on. They know that people have been hesitant to buy or sell a home lately because those interest rates have gone up, inflation has gone up. There are all kinds of questions about assessments. Well, the fact of the matter is things are changing again, and it's gone from a complete seller's market to little more of a balance, but it's still a seller's market right now. You're looking to buy a house, you've got to have Rodney and Jen on your side to get you the best dollar for dollar deal. You're ready to sell a house, you really need to call 314-810-SOLD. By the way, Rodney and Jen are licensed in both Missouri and in Illinois. There are a lot of real estate agents who have just given up on Illinois, but a lot of you there in Illinois, you're ready to move out. I get it. You call Rodney and Jen today, 314-810-SOLD. They've got so many pre-approved buyers, they are going to guarantee that you get an offer. You want to sell your home? Call Rodney and Jen. You're going to sell your home. You may not even have to list it. That's what's interesting. As I drive home and somebody listed a home with another agency, and it was a week or two before you saw, under contract. Boy, if they were serious about selling that home fast and for top dollar, they would have called Rodney and Jen at 314-810-SOLD. I probably would have never seen a sign. I probably never would have known that the house is sold. So selling your home with the Wallner Home Selling Team gives you the maximum exposure to the largest audience of potential buyers. And by the way, they offer flexible commission plans to meet your needs. This is a family business. This is a husband and wife team whose focus is on getting your family the best dollar for dollar deal possible. That's how they built such a successful business. So give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD. Even if you just have a few questions. They're not going to make you sign a contract before answering a question. But once you talk to Rodney and Jen, you're going to realize this is who I want to work with. And if you don't like what's happening, they'll let you out of the deal. They really will, but you're not going to want to do that because Rodney and Jen are, first of all, such good people, such consummate professionals, and they are fighters. They are fighters for you, whether you're buying or selling. So once again, call them at 314-810-SOLD.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Why don't you pop a squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
It just doesn't seem to be any end to the Biden administration's, first of all, overreaching government authoritarianism, but secondly, their devotion to anything that has to do with abortion, Gabe. So bizarre.
Yeah, they want to force abortion down everybody's throats so bad. It's kind of wild. I thought they were about choice, Mike.
Right. Well, if you're a business owner, you could be forced to accommodate something that you may abhor. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Gabe Pfeiffer. Gastel Ponticus here. It is coming up on 8:08. Hey, don't forget the first Republican presidential debate is next week. So join News Talk STL for that first debate on Wednesday. Hear the debate live, and then we're going to have live and immediate reaction and analysis from Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, the entire News Talk STL team, and you, of course. So debate coverage starts Wednesday at 8 p.m. and is brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood because they are adding delectable delight to all of your family gatherings. They really do have good stuff. I love Great Harvest Bread Company. Mm-hmm. More information at newstalkstl.com.
I might have to celebrate with those guys after I get off of keto.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you go over there, check out the onion dill bread.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. But
yeah.
they only make it a couple days a month.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But you can get some great coffee there, too.
Yes.
Okay, by the
All
way.
right.
Okay, I saw this, it's one of these public relations pitches, and it's like, hey, here's an interview guest, and I get, dozens of them a day. And this one jumped out at me because it's something that runs under the radar when it comes to the regulations, and it has to do with proposed federal regulations that would force employers, even of small businesses, into essentially subsidizing and accommodating an employee's decision to get an abortion. So first of all, you've got a business regulatory issue here. And secondly, you've got the obvious moral issue here as well.
Exactly.
I'm joined now by Tom McCluskey. He's with Catholic Vote. And Tom, first of all, thanks for being on the program here. So what we're talking about is the Biden administration proposing a rule, and I know that they're still accepting comments, and we'll talk about how to make your voice heard. But what is it that they would require if they get their way? What would they require of business owners in relation to abortion and their employees?
Well, this is what the Biden administration is doing is in response to a bill that was passed in the lame duck Congress called the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which on the face of it, of course, sounds fantastic. I mean, who doesn't support pregnant women or pregnant workers? And it was to fill a gap in employment law requiring that employers give women accommodations for pregnancy and childbirth or related medical conditions. The ironic thing is nowhere in the bill does it mention the word woman, of course, because that's a whole controversy to the side. How the Biden administration is interpreting the related medical condition is that if you're a small employee in your employer and you have reside in a state where abortion might be illegal or restricted in some way, you have to accommodate your employees. And that right now could mean anything from giving them time off to actually paying for their travel to another state to require an abortion.
Good morning, Tom. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So it looks like the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is going to be the enforcement arm here for this particular regulation. Is this something that typically falls into their purview?
It's not normally, and that's another thing that this piece of legislation, and Catholic Vote opposed the legislation precisely because of these things that we were predicting, is this legislation gave the EEOC, the Equal Employment, the office, there's so many acronyms in D.C., it's hard for me to remember what all the letters stand for, except it gives them unprecedented authorization to enforce. Normally, they would have to enforce by going to court and having the administration sue, but this gives the EEOC the authorization to start investigating these companies, and it's so broad definition that, say you're an organization like Catholic Vote or Susan B. Anthony, an organization that's out there fighting for the pro-life cause, or Eagle Forum, what this allows the EEOC to possibly do is to start investigating you because you're discriminating against women who have abortions by their definition.
So, Tom, let me try to make this to where people are kind of putting a personal look at it and names and faces. Think of your local favorite small business you go to. If the Biden administration gets what they want and the regulation, which in your all's release on your website, which y'all will give that address out in a minute, they specify that a related medical condition that would be covered under this, and I'm quoting here, current pregnancy, past pregnancy, potential pregnancy, lactation, including breastfeeding and pumping, use of birth control, menstruation, infertility, and fertility treatments, endometriosis, miscarriage, stillbirths, or having or choosing not to have an abortion, among other conditions, is what would be required. So let's say the Biden administration gets what they want with this regulation. It goes into effect. That local business that people are picturing in their mind right now, they have a worker and she decides she wants to get an abortion. What is it that employer may have to do or spend to accommodate that person, and what happens to them if they don't and they refuse on moral grounds or any other?
Well, under the current regulations, and right now, a lot of this is speculation, there are certain things we do know of. They would have to give that employee the paid time off. That would be seen as a reasonable accommodation. They would very likely have to pay for travel, as I said, perhaps if it's out-of-state travel, especially if it's a later-term abortion. They could, in certain cases, also have to pay for any complications afterwards. A lot of women suffer complications afterwards, and the employer would be responsible for that, perhaps as well under these regulations. What the EEOC could do is, they have the authority. They could shut down your business. They could just fine you out of existence, or they could just bring you to court so often that you're run out of business as well. The federal government has a lot more money to spend probably than some business. So there's a number of different things that they could do to target businesses. Just simply, and there is no accommodation for a personal religious belief. So if you're a baker who doesn't believe in abortion, you have no recourse but to do what the government is telling you.
I thought during the debate over the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act that abortion was explicitly excluded from that. Am I remembering that wrong, or was that part of the discussion?
That's what Catholic Vote was trying to do, and Heritage Foundation. We were trying to add language that would add religious protections. Senator Langford from Oklahoma was helping us out to add religious exemptions at all levels for all employees or employers, and also to have language in there saying that, specifically saying it doesn't cover abortion. What the Democrats were saying, and unfortunately even some Republicans were saying, Senator Cassidy, a Republican who supported this bill, were saying, oh, no, you don't have to do this. They would never include abortion in these regulations, except it was never explicitly stated. And the Biden administration, of course, saw the opportunity and added abortion.
Good morning, Tom. Stal Ponticus here. I realize that the regulation is dealing with regular businesses, but is there a chance that the tentacles of the regulation could eventually in the future wind up affecting, let's say, teachers in Catholic or private schools or private hospital employees?
Something faith-based.
Faith-based, yes.
Without a doubt. There are religious exemptions in there for if you're a direct church, but if you're a school connected with that church, you're not necessarily protected. So if you're a church that perhaps rents out your gymnasium, your employees might not be exempt of that. So there are so many loopholes for the government to get you that you could drive a truck through. And it's very troubling. It's one reason why Catholic Vote, of course, supports trying to help pregnant women at all stages. However, we opposed this legislation because we saw the disaster that was being written.
Okay, so what do we do about it now, Tom? Is this just a matter of we hope the politicians vote the right way, or is there something we can do?
I embrace your face that you hope politicians vote the right way. There are a number. If you go to Heritage or you go to CatholicVote.org, which of course I would prefer, you can find ways to submit comments. We have a very easy to use portal there, and we give suggested comments. Except we also suggest you add your own, read up about it, and we have information on the website, on our website, and give your own personal view of it. That has a lot of impact, and we've been able to, even in the Biden administration, we've been able to change some regulations to be a little more accommodating.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention because, like I said, Tom, a little bit earlier, this is one of those things that would likely skate under the radar. Mm-hmm. And then we here in Talk Radio would be talking about, can you believe they did this in past tense as opposed to look what they're trying to do in present tense, and here's what we can do to try to push back to some degree.
Right. And it's just important for us. We need to stay involved in all aspects.
All right.
Of government.
And what's the website and social media again, so people can find it for themselves?
It is Catholic Vote, all one word, .org. And right on the front page, you should be able to find the link to send you to read about the regulations and a comment on them.
All right, Tom McCluskey, once again, Catholic Vote. Really appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and we've got the word out there, so hopefully people can get on there and can put some pushback on and let the Biden administration and other representatives know that we're watching. So thanks so much for your work on this.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, 314-912-1019. Let's go over a few news stories here. And then at 8:35, the battle over the wokeness, really there's a lot of momentum on our side to the point where even local, well, used to be local, formerly local, Anheuser-Busch InBev is getting an interesting offer. We'll talk about that around 8:35 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up,
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
We're here with our great friends, Kathy and Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. One thing I love about your company, Kathy, is customer service.
We pride ourselves on making sure our customers are happy, and you can check out our Google reviews. We're very proud of that as well. And if you're not happy, we will do what it takes to fix the problem.
Well, that's just it. You set expectations, and we like to really educate our customers, and it gets done the way we said we were going to do it.
Call Connor Roofing, 314-375-7475, or connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
The deadly wildfires in Maui are being pushed by the eco-left. You know why? Because they're all your fault. Should have given up that gas stove. Also, it's been 1 year since Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act. Been to a grocery store lately? Isn't life so much better? We're going to talk about it all this week.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powertofuture.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
16, I found my dream machine. Turn the key in every
A lot of Sammy Hagar today. I like it.
Getting loud.
Yes. This here, that wasn't Chicken Foot. This was Sammy Hagar and the Circle, I think, did this.
Might have been.
It was.
This is more recent.
Yeah, this is probably the last 2 or 3 years. This has been Michael Anthony on bass. Jason Bonham, son of John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, is on drums on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the guy that tours with Sammy Hagar, the guitar player? Really good guy. I forgot his name. Bald guy.
You got me.
Yeah, that
Don't
guy.
know.
If you've seen Sammy Hagar solo, his guitar player. Yeah, good stuff there. All right, Sam Page gets a big win in court. What's this mean for our rights when the next viral season hits? Spoiler, it's probably not good. All right, a few of the news things happening. It's 8:24 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. Okay, so the bottom line is this. The legal battle over whether local governments can violate your rights during a declared pandemic is not over after all. We thought it was settled in Missouri, but it's not settled in Missouri now. Sam Page in St. Louis County, along with Jackson County, sued the state over the fact that they weren't allowed to sue the state.
It's so crazy.
To try to keep their authority to shut down businesses and shut down churches and shut down schools and issue mask orders and now all of those other now debunked, so-called public health measures. So the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that the local governments should have been allowed to intervene in the state case even though they didn't have standing in the case from the beginning. So what's known as the Robinson case now goes back to a lower court, so it's not over, but it's now kind of restarting from the midway point, and one team gets to bring in the subs.
So instead of a boy named Sue, we've got a state named
Yes.
Sue.
Yeah. Sue's everywhere. So what's happening, though, especially for those of you in St. Louis County, and those of us in St. Louis County, and that's Gabe and me too, what's happening is your tax dollars are being used to litigate this in order to try to reclaim the power to shut down your church and issue a stay-at-home order by a tyrant wannabe like Sam Page.
It's the craziest thing, especially when you think about, going to a restaurant, spending money, paying taxes on that bill, and those taxes could shut down that restaurant you just bought stuff at. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like that's wild to me.
Yeah, here's what I recommend. Subscribe to our podcast because we had a really fiery discussion about this a little bit ago. So check that out if you missed it, or share it with your friends or family or people who need to be aware that this is what these governments are fighting for, is their power. Even though everything they demanded and issued and mandated and fined people over and even arrested people over and threatened to arrest people, all of those things are now medically and scientifically debunked.
Yes.
Completely debunked.
So it's definitely not about your health. That was the excuse that was being used. It's like, no, we're just trying to protect people. We're just trying to do what's helpful for individuals. We're trying to protect the health of the county. That was the excuse they used.
Yeah.
All of that's gone now. So it's nakedly a pursuit of power.
That's all that it is. All right, we'll keep you updated as this moves forward. By the way, let me talk about Hawaii here for a minute. By the way, the death toll is now, last I saw, was 111 was what I saw this morning.
Yeah.
That's going to go up. There are still hundreds of people unaccounted for. But there's been this bizarre internet rumor that's gone around saying that Hawaii may be keeping the Maui wildfire victims from applying for help with FEMA. Now, FEMA doesn't get everything right. They definitely have some problems with FEMA.
They are a federal agency.
They are a federal agency, but this isn't true. So a reporter told FEMA's Elizabeth Ash in an interview that some people are believing, because they're reading this online, that if they get grant money from FEMA, that they're going to have to give up their land to the government.
Right.
Okay, so Ash responds and says, no, this is absolutely not true.
FEMA does not take land, and that's not a contingency of receiving assistance. We're here to provide assistance and to provide help to the survivors in Maui and all around the country. So please apply for assistance if you've been affected by the disaster.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, the damages now are expected to well exceed $6 billion.
Oh, my gosh.
But I've actually seen some of these things saying the government's going to come in and take all their land now that it's all burned up. That's not true. So please stop retweeting the stuff that's just not true. But there still is a concern about predatory behavior. In this case, though, it could come, like any disaster, from basically, people who want to come in and exploit a bad situation. And we are seeing some of that.
Yeah. Now, I did see something about a Democratic, I think the Democratic governor of Hawaii, suggesting that the state is going to take possession of some of these lands, conceivably to keep in trust. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out, but that's not the same as what we were talking about, that debunked idea that giving up or taking the $700 is necessarily giving up your particular plot of land. That's not true, but there are things to watch in Hawaii, but that's not one of them.
Well, they're not going to come in and say, okay, this got burned down, we're just taking your land now.
Right, yeah.
They can't do that.
You can't do that.
They're not doing that. As a matter of fact, the governor was doing an interview, and his name is Josh Green, and I don't know anything. I mean, he's a Democrat from Hawaii, so I'm assuming he's a leftist.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But he's also putting the warning out about the private sector predators.
Yes.
And we saw this with the Joplin tornado. We saw this with some of the 93 floods. We've seen this with the tornadoes in Arkansas and other states. We see this, everything from low-level con men that show up after a tornado and say, hey, I'll redo your roof for half price because I care so much about the people. Give me $5,000. I'll be back this weekend to do your roof, and then never show back up.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other people who come in and say, ooh, man, we can get $1 million worth of land for about $75,000. Let's go in and offer them pennies on the dollar. That way we can build the next resort for next to nothing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff going on, and it's a tough situation that they're in over in Maui because any disaster area you get that you get the misinformation, you get the attempts at graft, both from government and from private sector. So there's a lot to watch. There's a lot of information to kind of sift through. So just Godspeed with you guys, but be sure to know what you're talking about.
And not to mention that insurance claim payouts are probably going to move at a snail's pace.
Oh yeah,
because they're trying to figure out who to blame for this. And if they decide that this electric company, this utility company was reckless and resulted in starting the fire, they're going to try to put all of that on them, which means it could be years before people get settlements. And that's when people get desperate enough for these con artists to come in and take up their land for pennies on the dollar.
And you know what? You mentioned that insurance situation over there. Don't be surprised on a personal level if you see your rates starting to go up because they need to compensate for it.
That's absolutely.
There is one thing, though, I will appreciate about the insurance companies is in order to protect all those payouts, they are going to get to the bottom of where that where that fire started. If somebody else is to blame, and they don't even want to be the ones to pay for it. If it is this electric company or anything if they're involved at some point, the insurance company will make sure that they pay,
and they'll probably do that more efficiently than government.
Absolutely, they're protecting their profits.
Not that insurance companies are always the good guys.
They're not the good guys necessarily. But they can be useful.
They have the natural incentive to find out who's to blame and to go after whoever it is that's to blame.
Especially if there's negligence involved.
And it's all about the incentives.
All about the incentives. All right. In our series of, hey, other people are running for president too. While the White House is celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act, Larry Elder. Larry Elder was on a special report on Fox last night, and he's saying, you know what? Let's talk about the economy. Matter of fact, he's arguing that should be the number one issue that we're talking about as we head into the election.
The most important issue facing the country is the economy, inflation, gas prices, the fact that people are paying hundreds of dollars more per month for the same goods and services they were for a couple of years ago.
All right, Larry Elder, unfortunately, as of right now, is not among those who have qualified for the RNC's presidential debate next Wednesday. I hope he finds a way to get in. I think it's ridiculous that Larry Elder would not be on that stage.
Yeah, I think he hasn't reached the threshold for individual donors. Is that the one?
Both that and also the national polls that they're picking don't have him high enough in those as well. So they're arbitrarily keeping one of the most consistent conservative voices in America off the stage.
Yeah, the RNC needs better criteria. They need better rules for how they do this thing because it needs to be representative of what we're actually looking for as voters.
I don't have a problem with them sponsoring a debate, but they also need to stay out of the way and let other entities do debates if they want to and try not to keep the candidates off of those. All right, real quick here. The Cardinals just could not hold on for the sweep, but they did get the series win over the A's. Oakland shut out the Redbirds last night. Final score 8-0. Mets are in town starting tonight for a 4-game series. Adam Wainwright is on the mound. Hopefully he can get his season turned around tonight. We believe in you, Adam. Come on, Uncle Charlie.
Not much time left here, Wayno. You know, you need 2 wins to get to 200.
Just 2.
Golly.
Just 2. Okay. Just 2. That's all he needs.
If he can just somehow get himself back on track for at least a month and a half, that would be great.
Get deep.
Yep, tonight's the night. Maybe tonight's the night that Adam Wainwright breaks out of the funk and he gets back to being the Uncle Charlie we all know and love.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your First Alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures today nearing 88 degrees. A weak front is passing through the area that could bring an isolated spot shower to Illinois, but otherwise the only indication of that front will be a little bit of cloud cover and gusty winds as the front passes through. Temperatures in the upper 80s today, in the 60s tonight behind the front. A little cooler tomorrow after the front passes, 84 degrees, and then intense heat builds over the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Longwood, kiss that baby goodbye. It's gone a mile. Simmons touches them all.
On Friday, August 18th, the Cardinals host the Mets, and that night, 25,000 fans aged 16 and older take home a Cardinals Hall of Fame Car Parade bobblehead thanks to Ford. Fans will be surprised at the gates when they receive one of two mystery bobbleheads. Will it be Matt Holliday or will it be Ted Simmons? Which one will you get? Find out August 18th. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
The Cardinals are proud to celebrate our troops and veterans. Military Appreciation Night presented by Bally Sports Midwest is Friday, August 18th when the Cardinals host the Mets. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, fans will receive an exclusive Cardinals cap honoring their favorite branch of the military, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marines, or Navy. A portion of each ticket purchased will be donated to USO Missouri. For more information, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is Navy veteran and former Cardinal Mitch Harris. Thank you for being the best fans in baseball.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fenceworks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fenceworks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fenceworks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fenceworks is maintenance-free decking. STL Fenceworks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fenceworks make your outdoor space magical. Visit stlfenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Which morning show are you going to hear Metallica at 8:37 in the morning?
You know what? Actually, this is Pantera.
Oh, Pantera. I'm sorry, Pantera. Yeah.
Because every time we play something from Pantera, I think of pizza.
Yeah.
Because of the Panteras that used to be around. I think there's one that still exists somewhere.
It's in North County.
In North County.
Yep.
Right.
It's in my neighborhood.
I did not.
Basically.
I don't know why I said Metallica. Pantera.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. This it's interesting. We were talking a little bit earlier about how Target is now acknowledging that the backlash, and I also want to point out how the media spin on this is different than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Because the media spin on this is, well, the conservative boycott.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this was a market backlash.
Yes. Very similar to the Bud Light one.
Right. And we'll get to the Bud Light thing here in a minute as well. And so some lessons to be learned from this is, first of all, voting with your dollars works.
Yes.
I have found myself in a position to do the boycott thing more than I ever wanted to because I really am not a big boycott guy.
Yeah, same.
You know, you can have your beliefs, and if you got something that I want to buy and it's worth the money, I'm going to buy it from you. But increasingly, businesses have crossed the line over and over and over. I am telling you, I am not going to have Starbucks ever again as long as they decide that they're going to take part of their profits and subsidize travel for abortions and castrations and mastectomies and promoting the gender ideology. They do that. That's their right to do that. They're a private business. They can do that. I just choose not to contribute to it.
Yeah, I think for most conservatives, I think we were always in the position where knowing that we did not own culture. You know, that culture is for, the liberal art students, the people who end up in media and things like that. They kind of control culture, and we quietly accepted that.
Right.
Now, generally speaking, back in the day, they were a little more quiet in the way they expressed their liberalism so that it wasn't particularly offensive to us because they knew they still needed our dollars.
Yeah.
After a while, they got so uppity about it, and it's like, well, we're going to tell you what you need to believe, you dumb hicks out there in the middle of the country. And finally, I think we're starting to realize that, you know what? Maybe I don't want to spend money on this. Maybe I don't want to give money to people who actively hate me and want to hurt me through media.
They got it through their head that we have a responsibility to use our platform.
The platform.
To push this ideology.
Yep.
It's not about profits. It's not about business. Well, you can be a conscientious business, and you should.
Sure.
But it's not your responsibility to, like Gabe said, basically hate your customers and try to draw them into line. So with Target, let's start there. Then I'm going to get over to Anheuser-Busch here in a second. Target, the CEO on one of these investor calls, had to acknowledge and had to admit that this market backlash, although he called it a boycott, he called it, basically tried to argue that, well, we had to pull all the stuff off the shelves because all these threatening and aggressive behavior from, these closed-minded simps, forced us to not sell stuff. Well, no, that's not what happened.
Yeah, it's all you big meanies' fault.
Yeah, you were caught selling chest-binding clothing for little children, for little girls, and you were caught selling girls' swimsuits specifically marketed towards toddlers and pre-K boys as tuck-friendly. You were literally caught grooming children for perverse sexual dysphoria and gender ideology. That's what you were caught doing.
Yes.
And people said, I am not going to buy there. That crossed the line because he acknowledged in this business call, this investor call, that we've been doing a Pride collection for 10 years now, but this year was different.
Yes. Why was this year different, huh?
Exactly.
Huh?
Why was it different? Because you know what? There was no backlash against you the last 9 years or 10 years or whatever it's been because you didn't go after grooming kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that they're not acknowledging. You know, they want to pretend as though, well, all of a sudden the conservatives and social media got us all ginned up into a social or a moral panic, and now all the big meanie conservatives are out here threatening our staff. That's the narrative they want to spin, as opposed to, no, this year is different because you crossed a red line with most Americans.
So they doubled down blaming the customer base, which is what Bud Light did.
That's what they did.
So they did say that next year they're going to have another Pride collection.
Sure. Okay.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I don't care.
So long as.
I really don't care. But they did say they're going to alter it next year. So they're either going to tone it down, or if they have any common sense, they're not going to target the grooming of the children. Listen, there's going to be a T-shirt with a rainbow on it.
Yeah.
There's going to be something in the kids section that says "love is love" or whatever the key phrase is at the time.
Yeah, the rainbow colors throughout the kids collection, I think that's pretty standard.
Whatever. Okay.
But kids like rainbows anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They're going to do that again.
Yeah.
But it looks like that they're going to pull back on the grooming aspect of it.
And especially the trans stuff, I think.
Exactly.
I think that's going away.
So if that goes away for at least a year, you're going to see that they would at least react to the market. Because again, Target has a Pride collection. Nobody cares. I don't care.
Yep.
I'm not going to buy it, but I don't care. But that's when you cross the line. So now this Bud Light Anheuser-Busch thing, and you guys actually read the articles on this, so I'm going to lean on you a little more because I saw the article, but I didn't read the whole thing. Billy Bush of the Bush family is what? He's willing to try to invest back and buy some of the stock because they don't own it anymore. The Bush family doesn't own it anymore.
He wants to literally purchase Bud Light.
The brand.
The brand itself from InBev.
I guess in a similar way as they sold off some of their other name brands, right?
Right, like Shock Top and Breckenridge and some of the others. Now, whether they're willing to hear him out on that, I don't know. But he wants to do it, but he wants to do it because they're wrecking the brand.
And he also may be thinking, I can get it at a good price right now.
That's right.
Hey, it might be a good investment because imagine the bounce back if he did so.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because once you divorce the brand Bud Light from the same people who did all this garbage, who in partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, that kind of crazy weirdo on TikTok, and who refused to apologize, if you separate the brand from those people and say, hey, we're going to make Bud Light great again, I think the bounce back would be significant.
Because didn't he go on, I don't remember which media outlet it was, but he said that my ancestors, meaning Augie Bush and some of the others, in his words, rolling over in their graves if they could see what's happened to what they built.
Exactly. That is what he stated. And the two thoughts that came to my mind, one of them was what you said, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
He could use making Bud Light great again.
Yeah.
That would be a great marketing slogan. And also he could do T-shirts, and instead of Dilly Dilly, he could have Billy Billy.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Yeah, no, here, a quote here that he was with Tommy Lauren on Outkick on her show, and here's his quote: If they don't want that brand any longer, sell it back to the Bush family. Sell it to me. I'll be the first in line to buy that brand back from you, and we'll make that brand great again.
Ah, there it is.
There it is.
Don't sell it to Trudy Valentine Bush.
No,
sell
no,
it
no,
to Billy
Yeah,
Bush.
yeah, the correct branch of the Bush heirs. Yes.
I mean, you look at, for instance, what I'm going to be fascinated to see is now that the sale of Shock Talk and Breckenridge particularly have been made, I'm going to be curious to see whether their sales go up under the new ownership, because what we saw at the time, and Gabe, you were doing the research on this, is that after the immediate backlash against Bud Light with the dude in the Audrey Hepburn getup, and they went down immediately.
Yes.
And they were losing hundreds of billions right away, ended up into the billions. And then shortly after that, Budweiser brand itself started sinking. And then within a few weeks, other AB brands started seeing moderate losses. And what had happened is either people put the list, these are all the AB brands, or people did a quick Google search, hey, which other brands? And it wasn't a massive hit on like Shock Talk and some of the other, or Stella or some of the others. Some of the people didn't realize that those were AB brands, but there were enough people who went out of their way to say, I'm not going to support this company at all. First of all, because of the stupidity of the Mulvaney thing. But secondly, when they doubled down and said, we've got to change this brand so it's not so lowbrow and fratty, we got to become more progressive. Basically, screw you, customer base that built this. You've got to be more left-wing, and you've got to be more transy or whatever. And so people started, there was a ripple effect, and they stopped the ripple effect by unloading these brands, like 8 brands.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be curious to see if those two biggest ones in particular do make a little bit of a turnaround and are more profitable because they sold it for such a small amount. I got to think there's probably a lot of people who heard the news and went, great, I like Shock Talk.
Yeah.
I'll start buying Shock Top again and not Modelo or not Yingling or whatever the case is, although Yingling's better.
And you can do Modelo locally, I think, because in America, I think Modelo is not owned by AB.
Correct.
It's the foreign Modelo is AB.
But Yingling is free and clear, man.
And it's just good.
Yeah, Yingling is free and clear. If you're like, listen, I don't want to drink a beer that's going to make me gay.
Oh no! the memes made themselves.
Oh, my goodness.
The videos of people accidentally taking a sip of Bud Light and turning into a lady. It was hilarious. But hey, if bringing it back to Target, if Target does go the route of Bud Light, we're only going to see it after the next quarter.
Yeah.
Because the way they record their sales and things, it's different than Bud Light. It's different in beer. So we'll see how well they do the next quarter sales report.
But be encouraged that there still are market forces, and that means you, and it also means you're not alone when you stand up, even in little things like this.
Yep, vote with your dollars, people.
All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Wow, that was my reaction when I walked into Napoli C, now open on the streets of St. Charles, right next door to Napoli 3. And Napoli C is like walking into a 2-level submarine. Fish just outside the portholes. The menu is going to be filled with various seafood, lobster, crab. Good luck with choosing. Napoli C is now open on the streets of St. Charles. Join me at any Cafe Napoli. Clayton, Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, are right next door, Napoli C.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
I don't have to tell you, it's hot time summer in St. Louis, so why the heck are you still dragging those hoses around your yard? Tim Jones here for Professional Irrigation Systems. They will do a residential irrigation install in one day, custom irrigation designs for every property. We made that decision years ago. We've never regretted it. Irrigation installs improve your curb appeal. They also have got landscape lighting and fertilization packages as well. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. 636-692-4441, 24/7 at proirrigation.com. That's proirrigation.com.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Alessia Bernatskaya from Belarus.
I think the most important things to preserve are the first two amendments, freedom of speech and right to bear arms, because that's one of the things that, let's say, Belarus is in a situation where they are. They can't do anything about it because they don't have weapons and there is no free speech.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
What happens next?
This may be the most important criminal trial ever brought by the federal government in the history of the country.
Happens right here.
The gravest political crime since secession.
Political speech now has been criminalized.
Will Trump serve his next term in the White House or in the Big House?
St. Louis's place to talk.
This case can be tried before the election.
That's exactly what Jack Smith did. He knows what he's doing.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's going to be tough. This guy's dance card is filling up fast.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise.
It's a guilty pleasure song for me. Starship was a guilty pleasure for me in the 80s. Mm-hmm. I had knee deep in the hoopla. I had the cassette, I'll admit it.
They put out some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And definitely not the Starship that I grew up with Jefferson Airplane.
Right.
Totally different style,
so
but I like both.
Jefferson Airplane, then Jefferson Starship, and then Starship. And I think I saw an advertisement on Facebook that I think they're now touring as Jefferson Starship again. Because I think they want to roll in that old catalog. Mickey Thomas is still singing, but I think he's the only original one left. There might be one others. Which movie was this? Which movie was this on?
Oh, geez.
Come on.
It's
87.
Yep. Which movie?
I'm blanking, man.
Mannequin.
Wow. Really?
Remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember Mannequin.
Absolutely atrocious movie. But it was it was a perfect 80s movie. You know, the mannequin comes to life and it's this beautiful hottie.
Oh, of course.
You know,
well, there were a lot of fantasy girlfriend movies in the 80s.
Science.
Yeah, there's Weird Science, Mannequin, and Splash.
Yes, with Daryl Hannah. That's right.
So it's the magical girlfriend trope was the as I call it. Mm-hmm.
All right, it's 8:53 right now. I got an update on my personal vanity.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, because we know that I lost a tooth a couple weeks ago in a baseball game when I got hit by a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went
in. Right up underneath your equipment.
Yeah, the ball hit me underneath, which we still can't figure out how that happened. And so I went in last week to the dentist, and I had to have a root canal, and then they ground down this tooth basically to this tiny little nub, and then they custom cut a new tooth and put that. So I have another tooth. So it's replaced.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people didn't realize is the tooth right next to it had been knocked out in the 80s.
Yeah.
From another sports injury, because I have great luck with these things. So between my tooth and my orbital bone around my eyeball, it's been quite a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this fake flipper tooth.
Right.
That I've been wearing for years. You know, it was knocked down in the 80s in a basketball practice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the dentist actually put it back in back in Quincy, Illinois. And
they just kind of shoved it in there.
Yeah, they just shoved it back in.
Yeah.
And
hey, it fits.
And then about I don't know 8 years ago, something like that, the tooth finally died out, and I had to have it extracted, and I had got a fake tooth put in.
Right.
So I've been wearing this fake tooth for years.
Mm-hmm.
And now with this new tooth that is replacing the other one I got knocked out, my flipper tooth won't fit.
Oh.
It won't fit in there.
Okay.
So I'm I've got what looks like a real big gap in my lower teeth. Excuse me, in my lower jaw here. And I called the dentist, and they said, when they put it in, they said, yeah, that thing might not fit. We may have to adjust it. So just let us know. Well, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So I called, and they said, okay, we can get you in next Wednesday. I'm like, really?
Yeah. You gotta wait a little bit.
I gotta wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. you still got a little meth mouth going, so
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
a lot less than it was.
Right, because after the tooth was knocked out in the baseball game, I on the live stream on like Rumble and YouTube and stuff, I asked Stell to just put up a photo of me.
Yeah, static picture.
Because I was just so self-conscious about this big gap in my teeth, which was a big gap. And somebody actually asked him, like, hey, what's with the picture?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I answer, I'm like, my vanity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because
just being truthful.
Because what made it even funnier was I couldn't figure out how to stretch the photo across the entire, block so your arms would still.
Right. There was this. It was my profile picture that you see on the website, and then my arms flopping on the side.
On the sides, and occasionally you'd see him just kind of slip
through.
walk through.
But here's what's really bad, and the day after it happened, which would have been 2 or 3 Tuesdays ago, because the game was on a Monday. And I had this fake tooth in, and at 5:45, if you're not listening then, is I do what we call the news roundup. And I start off with like, here's the news, and we talk about some of the issues. And I'm sitting here talking, and we're all on camera. And I'm talking, and this flipper tooth, because my other tooth has been knocked out, just tumbles out of my head.
Oh, yeah.
Like live on the air.
Yep.
And I'm like,
was it during like an interview or something?
It was during the news roundup.
That's right. It was during the news roundup.
It was during the news roundup.
You showed me during an interview.
I know. And it was during the news roundup. And so Stell's over here cracking up, laughing at my misfortune because my tooth popped out right in the middle of a sentence.
Yes.
I was laughing and queasy at the same time.
I know.
You said the word tooth and it just boop.
One of my friends in the baseball, he's like, hey, how's the new tooth? And I said, yeah, I got a new one. It's in. He goes, send me a picture. And I'm like, no. I am not sending you a picture that can live on the internet for the rest of my life.
Oh, especially to you.
Yeah, no. I know better than to send like sensitive stuff to baseball players.
Right.
Because I am one.
Yes.
I know better than that.
That'll last forever in a dugout.
Oh, man. So hopefully by next Thursday.
Yeah, yes.
I'll have
taken care of.
I'll have all of my face back put together.
Now, what about your nerve? I know you the nerves in your teeth. I know that was bothering you for a while. You're all covered up.
No, that was the root canal. They took it out.
Okay, so it's gone.
Yeah, they literally took it out.
All right, that's good.
So it's a lot better now.
That's the important part.
Yes. The boring part is I can eat buffalo chicken wraps and buffalo chicken sandwiches again.
Yes.
That's the good stuff.
Yes.
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way in about 6 minutes right here. 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL information segment coming up just ahead.
Thanks for listening on this Thursday morning, and welcome home to News Talk STL.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they